Hey everyone, this is a special episode. Not quite a podcast, but it'll be very, very long like one. So this episode is going to be a complete breakdown of the March tier list, and this is actually done with a lot of work. You guys notice that Killy is actually here with me for once, so this is not done over Skype. And Killy, you've spent a long time writing the pros and cons of every character and coming up with a more thorough tier list, I would say. So, prepare yourselves, guys. Prepare yourselves. Kelly, you think we should explain how a tier list works first? Just in case?
Yeah, there's a lot of disputes.
Yeah, there's a lot of disputes. You can go ahead and try to explain it.
Tier listing is a ranking of characters in the game, and it's done from the perspective of two high-level players with the character, and it's kind of broken down by the matchup from there. And whoever has the most advantageous matchups ends up higher. Whoever has the least amount of advantageous matchups ends up on the lower end of the tier list. Doesn't mean characters can't win, just you're gonna have to work harder with a lower tiered character versus a higher tiered character.
And what that means is, since it's based on matchups, it means that if you're the best character in the game, it doesn't mean no matter what you'll beat the worst character in the game, because that matchup might be the worst characters in his favor, basically. Yeah. So, with that being said, though, we should let's get started. So, after we've got two big majors now, and we played all the betas, and we've kind of seen the results here, and there's some characters that are still being explored. So, even though this tier list is more thorough, there's still information that we need, but this is the best that we could come up with, basically.
And so how we've broken down this tier list is actually pretty condensed. The highest we have is A+, and the lowest we have is B-. So it really speaks on the balance of Street Fighter V in general.
It's a balanced game, in compared to a lot of other fighting games. It's pretty close. So, even the worst characters in the game are not really that bad compared to the best. And any character is definitely capable of winning a major. Yeah. I think right now, for sure. So, yeah, man, you wanna get started here?
Yeah. So to kick it off, we're gonna start with the B- tier characters.
The lowest tier that we have is B-.
The lowest of the low.
All right, which character do you want to start? Oh, by the way, when we say a tier, these characters are in no specific order, unless we specifically mention. So the order, we're not mentioning the worst right off the hop, unless we say it is.
Yeah. So to start,
go ahead.
Start with the B- characters. First one will be Rashid.
B-.
So Rashid has a lot of various issues, but let's go over his pros first.
Sure.
He's got a very unique fireball. Controls this mid-range space, but also controls the aerial space. Mm-hmm. So it's a very unique fireball, and it's nothing like SF has ever done, really.
It's strange because the fireball is normally you'd want to jump over it, but in Rashid's case, you don't really want to jump over it. It's kind of like an anti-air. It's very strange.
And he can convert off of an anti-air hit with his fireball. So. You kind of, instead of jumping over the fireball, which is counterintuitive, you kind of just actually want to approach from the ground instead. He's got multiple unique movement options. The wind mechanic in conjunction with his V-skill and his jump just adds a very interesting dynamic to the way he moves.
Yeah.
He also has a run instead of a dash. And you can actually control how far he runs. Versus a dash with the other characters where it's a set distance.
Mm-hmm. You can run about a full screen distance. Yeah.
So he's got some good movement options available to him, and they're not particularly slow. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of unique mix-up options, but they're very situational based on the screen position, how much meteor has. If you use EX fireballs, you can V-skill and go through them. You can neutral jump afterwards, and your positioning gets altered based on that EX projectile. His V trigger, obviously, if you use your V skill, if you run through it, if you do special moves through it, it all changes where he ends up on the screen.
Yeah.
So it creates a lot of different mix-up options for him. And then he's got his off-the-wall jumps, and he gets mix-ups. He gets some really weird mix-ups off of that because sometimes people jump into the corner rather than out of the corner.
Yeah.
Or even like if they're in front of their opponent, they jump into the corner wall jump for that cross-up mix-up there. So it's a little bit of a weird thing that he has here. But ideally you want to try to utilize, you have to really utilize all of these unique options he has to actually mix someone up. And like that's kind of like one of the faults to the character too.
Yeah.
But we'll go over it later on. He's got some pretty decent mid-range normals, like crouch, heavy punch is a strong like normal in the mid-range game, and the second hit of that is has a crush counter property on it.
Yeah, when I was playing Rashid, I was spamming the hell out of that move. Like once I realized how good it was. Sure, it's slow, but the range of it is so good for a character. And then, like I said, if you crush counter even at the tip, the second hit, you have enough time to literally run forward and go standing medium punch, crouching medium kick into eagle spike. Like that's really good for such a long range crush counter since he has a run.
Yeah, but it's the second hit that's a crush counter, not the first, so it's like really situational there. Standing heavy kick is another good normal of his in the mid-range game. It's also a crush counter normal, but it also beats low attacks. It's safe on blocks, like -2, so it's not too bad. But you do effectively end your pressure if they do block it. His jumping medium kick is also a really good cross-up normal. Probably one of the better cross-up normals in the game.
Yeah, it's really reliable, and it makes sense that they give him a good crossover because he has so many situations where he's gonna cross you up using his V trigger, his wall jump, and everything, right? So
yeah.
It makes sense that a character like this will have a really good cross-up attack.
Yeah. So now going into his cons, he's actually got below average health. He's got 950 health.
Yeah.
Just only 50 points below what normal characters have. Like normal range is 1,000 health.
Yeah, usually the way Capcom like balances health is if the character has a lot of tools, he usually has low health.
Yeah. So that is one of his weaknesses. He can't take too many hits, otherwise he dies. He's got low damage and stun output, and this is kind of like a big issue for him.
I think this is the most significant con for Rashid. I feel like the character, even though he does have a lot of ways to mix you up, the juice is not worth the squeeze, I'd say. Like the damage output, he's got a lot of conversions that can only go into light mixer. He can't get into like the heavy versions of his specials unless it's like a hard punish, compared to a lot of characters that can. And then after you get the knockdown, the damage, the amount of times you need to open the opponent up to finally dizzy him because your stun is so low, and to actually make a comeback is so hard without using his V trigger.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you get blown up once by like a single Ryu bread and butter, and then all your health is gone basically for one mistake.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Rashid, it's just the design of his character is really well done, but I think numerically he has a problem with the damage values of his attacks, especially his light mixer and such.
Like the only way he can really mount any sort of comeback or advantage is when he's got V trigger, and when he has V trigger, you have to use it in sort of unorthodox styles. Like you don't want to use it in a block string because once they block the V trigger, it's only 3 hits. That's it for the V trigger. So you get like one mediocre mix up. You want to put yourself in a sandwich situation where you're behind the opponent, or I guess in front, and you got the V trigger going behind them. So that's the only time where you can actually get like good mix-ups off of that, and where your damage output comes from. So it's like very situational, and it's like a risk-reward thing. So he doesn't get a whole lot off of it if they have solid defense. And then afterwards, it's kind of like if they block through your entire V-trigger mix-ups, you're done. It's so hard to mount a comeback at that point.
Yeah.
A lot of his attacks, like his special moves, are very unsafe on block. Like Eagle Spike is really unsafe on block. A full charged spin mixer is really unsafe on block. The fireball is about the only thing that's really safe. So, and they're usually his combo enders, so you have to be really careful on it. Some of it, even like Eagle Spike, is also like an approach tool. It's how he can like counter fireballs, like that air Eagle Spike. and stuff like that. So if they block any of that, like say you mistime a projectile counter with Air Eagle Spike, you're so punishable afterwards. It could really cost you the round or the game in itself.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of his moves are designed to be used with his V trigger. So if you use like his mixer during the V trigger, all of a sudden the move becomes safe.
Yeah.
You know, when you use the Eagle Spike through the V trigger, he'll bounce so far away from the opponent. It's hard for him to do a reprisal, right? It's like everything is designed around his V trigger, and as we know, it's not the entire round.
Yeah.
It's a small part of the match, and yes, his V trigger is really good, better than other characters, but it's just not enough to warrant his damage output on everything else, right? Yeah. It's too harsh.
He has this sort of risk-reward gameplay that some players use with him, and the risk-reward...
Dude, every player uses it.
Not every player, but most players have this risk-reward gameplay with Rashid, and it's really not in their favor. It's actually really highly unfavorable for him. And the typical gimmick that you'll see, or the scenario, is like a -2 move, so light punch mixer, stand roundhouse, forward medium punch, even V skill sometimes, but it's not -2. It's like
so they'll do a string into a light mixer, and then he's -2.
Yeah.
And then they'll go standing hard kick, and then it's -2. Or he'll do, what else did you say?
Forward medium punch.
Yeah, forward medium punch was also -2. And then you're in this situation where the Rashid player will either do an EX mixer, which is extremely unsafe.
Yeah.
It's an invincible reversal that can be crush countered if they block it, or he'll try to throw, or he'll do a standing light kick, which is a 3-frame normal, and try to challenge.
Yeah, so it creates this artificial mind game where the EX mixer will blow up the throw techs or buttons to kind of retake momentum, but the damage output he gets off of the EX mixer is really low, as it should.
Yeah.
But the risk is so high. If they just block it, you get crush countered into a full combo.
And with 950 health, you're going to get blown up, right?
Yeah.
So you use EX Mixer, and if you guess right, you reward it with almost putting him in the corner, and the damage is not that high. And then you're back to neutral again, right? Well, you get a mix-up after. But if they block it, you're dead. If you do a standing light kick and try to challenge them, you will lose if he challenges you because you are -2. And then if your reward for landing a light kick is you pretty much get to go back into the same situation again.
Yeah.
And then if you go for a throw, you reset the neutral and you get some damage, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's all about doing this unfavorable risk reward and then back into it again. I see a lot of Rashid players doing.
It just isn't the greatest. So and for these reasons, we feel like Rashid's B- at this point. Like he's got some potential to grow. The more his V-trigger explored, the more options are explored with him. But right now, seems like he struggles a lot, especially in the neutral game. Like
he's very V-trigger reliant, I feel. And like a lot of Rashid players, they're having troubles opening people up. They're relying a lot on dash in, neutral jump in front of them, hoping they whiff a throw.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, that unfavorable mix-up, they're using it a lot. And then when they do guess right, the damage output is just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not enough. And then you have to do it so many times per round, and it's just like, you get hit once by the opponent's like bread and butter, and it's just like, boom, it all falls apart. So, if they were to rebalance Rashid, I feel like the way the character's designed, everything is completely fine. Like, I think he's one of the most well-designed characters, actually.
Yeah.
In Street Fighter V, especially as a brand new character. But I feel like to balance him, all I have to do is just bump up the numbers a little bit. I think there's nothing they have to change, like, design-wise. Just numbers, I feel. Or maybe a conversion to a higher mixer, maybe.
Something like that. Or, like, adjust his risk-reward factor here.
Yeah.
Try to mitigate it, but give him like other buff tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
We're done with Rashid?
That's it for Rashid.
Okay. Do you want me to scroll up here?
Yeah. So the next character in B- tier is F.A.N.G.
Yeah, so F.A.N.G we kind of held back a little bit because the character is brand new and we didn't get to play him in the beta. So we kind of had to watch him for a little bit and kind of figure out, where he is and kind of be open-minded because, he's a very unexplored character. But now we feel like after watching the 2 majors and whatnot, he's B-.
He's still underexplored, probably one of the most underexplored characters in the game.
For sure.
So there is still room for growth with F.A.N.G, like to rise up in the tier rankings, but right now just seems to be lacking some tools here and there to really set him apart. But if we're going over his pros, he's got a lot of space control tools.
Yeah.
His traps act as a shield for him. The strength of his projectiles cover multiple angles. The light punch version of it actually, when done up close, it really entices people to push buttons, and that's the one thing you shouldn't do when you see that happen. Because what usually happens, you'll hit F.A.N.G, but then the projectiles come down, they hit you. F.A.N.G recovers from the hit you did on him, and then he combos you. And it's big damage, and he can probably get a mix-up afterwards. The EX version of it, though, he shoots 2 one up and 1 down, and the one that shoots down actually like ground bounces. And so when he does that, it like immediately controls space. You pretty much have to like give up your offensive turn and deal with this oncoming projectile. He's got some really good hit confirmable normals. A lot of them do 2 hits, and it actually gives him time to gain the charge for the special
I'm pretty sure that's part of his design, hey?
Yeah.
So that's pretty smart.
So standing heavy kick being 2 hits, he can then like link afterwards into one of his charge specials. Just in general, he's just got like an easier time to hit confirm. And because his moves are charges, like it allows him to just get that charge and then combo into it. Good mix-up options, utilizing his projectiles, his traps, his command dash. I mean, we've all seen some of F.A.N.G's mix-ups. He shoots the projectile, does EX dash or something, it's left-right, or he gets a knockdown, has the trap, EX dash, or regular dash, command dash, I should say, and then it's left-right again. So he's got some decent mix-up options, but they're kind of like situational here.
Yeah.
He's got a really good anti-air with his crouch heavy punch, and you can special cancel it on either hit.
That anti-air is really annoying, by the way.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not going to hit you, but it does. Yeah.
It's great at like people who just jump in from mid-range, but it also covers that like cross-up range too, which is really important.
Because he's kind of like low profile when he does it, right?
Yeah, and it hits like straight up too, so it's perfect against cross-ups as well. So he's always got a strong anti-air option available to him, and then because he can special cancel it too, he will do like 1 hit, lay the trap down, left-right mix-up or something like that. So he's got pretty good options off of it. Good range normals in the mid-range game, like down forward fierce punch, like it's really long range. His crouch roundhouse or crouch heavy kick has really long range. Stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, like all of his normals cover like a really good distance. So he can like keep people out, and that's kind of part of his design. He is a zoning-based character. Zoning and setup, I'd say. He has some good like burst pressure, utilizing his stand heavy kick. He's got that crouch stance, and then if you go into a kick afterwards, you're like +1 or 2 after.
Okay.
So there's like these interesting pressure strings that we've seen Zen and Sonic Fox do, utilizing these tools as well as his traps and stuff like that. So there are times where he's zoning, and then when he gets in, he has this like long string of offense, and then when he's done, he's like back out. But all of that leads into combos if he lands a hit from any of that offense. But it's like not something that he can sustain for long periods of time. It's just like a nice burst of pressure, just all of a sudden. The poison the mechanic for poison, it's pretty much guaranteed every round. Like there's not really a way to just avoid getting poisoned. Even if you play defensively, like you're probably gonna get poisoned anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to avoid, man.
The V skill, it's unblockable. It has no hitbox, no hurtbox on it, so you can't nullify a projectile. So if you sit there and you block it, you're gonna get poisoned. If you try to jump over it and he's using his projectiles or whatever like that, you're most likely get hit and then you're poisoned either way. The traps as well, they cause a poison. Even his little like dash punch, it causes poison. His V trigger, like they all cause poison, and no matter what, I feel like you are gonna get poisoned, and it's guaranteed every round.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. And the V trigger itself is really good, like good combo extender. Like he gets massive damage, especially off of that like one hit of crouching heavy kick, and then you V trigger cancels.
Yeah.
Gets good damage into poison from there. It's really simple to use as well because it's just easy to implement. You activate, and it has this passive buff on it. And because of the fact that it causes poison at close range, and then his long range tools cause poison, no matter what, like that. The opponent has to get close to you at some point to try to deactivate the poison, but because you got V-Trigger active, he's going to get poisoned anyways. So it is a good sort of like mind game there. That being said, he does have his issues here. He has below average health and stun, 950 health and 950 stun. So if you get a good sequence on him, he falls apart pretty quickly. He doesn't even have good reversals. Like the best one that he has is the EX command dash, but there are ways to punish it.
Okay.
He's got slow walk speed, and that's sort of to compensate for his long range normals.
Of course.
And his jumps are very slow and floaty. Like he jumps really high, it takes a while for him to land, but he's got some pretty good jumping normals to kind of compensate for that.
Like some fuzzy guard subs, some instant overheads.
He's got some good instant overheads.
But you don't get much reward off it, right?
No.
Yeah.
He probably does the least amount of damage. Well, I wouldn't say the least amount of damage in the game, but he has low damage and stun output.
Kind of like suffers the same thing as Rashid.
Yeah.
You find yourself with F.A.N.G more. You're so focused on zoning that you don't get much opportunities where you can convert that know real damage. Your whole game plan is to keep the guy out. And if you want to go for a mix up, usually you gotta use like an EX command dash.
Yeah.
You gotta use resources, and then you gotta hope that you land that hit. Then otherwise it's back to zoning time again.
Yeah. I feel like this was done intentionally because of the poison mechanic, but
which is really hard to balance.
Yeah, it's just really difficult to balance. Like the poison doesn't do enough damage, and then his combos don't do enough damage as is. So it feels like overall he just doesn't do enough damage.
Like you look at a character like Dalsum, for example. He's kind of the same type of playstyle where he keeps you off damage, or the damage on Dalsum is super huge.
It's insane. It's
right?
insanely high.
Yeah.
And like the poison mechanic itself, even though we say it's guaranteed, it almost seems like it's a non-issue when you're playing against them. You kind of just ignore the fact that you're poisoned and you play normally.
Yeah, like you see people just like when they use the V skill, they'll just walk through it. They don't even care, right?
Because there's no point to really be concerned about the V skill, because with the he has so many anti options against jumps, like the projectiles and all that stuff. So there's no point in trying to jump or force your way inside at that point. You just accept the fact that you get poisoned and you play normally. And because of that, I just feel like the poison mechanic doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, it doesn't create a strong enough mind game on the opponent saying, like, I need to get in now. Yeah. Because I'm poisoned. Because it just doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of fear. Like, you're poisoned, it sucks, but Capcom was like, they understood that it's so easy to poison the opponent. They're like, okay, well, we can't have him poisoned and then do high damage attacks because it'd be just too much, right? So like, we gotta lower the damage on his attacks because we want to design most of his damage around the poison. But it's so hard to balance because the poison, you're gonna get poisoned all the time, so they have to have it really low. And then you have the problem with his V trigger. Right, his V trigger activation, it makes you poisoned when you're around your opponent. Yeah. But they're poisoned anyways most of the time. Yeah. So it's like his V trigger doesn't do anything significant besides the activation.
It doesn't seem like it stacks the poison. Like it doesn't really do a whole lot. So it's just like a way of maintaining the poison. But it doesn't do a whole lot. It's like that one-time combo that you get, that burst combo if you land the hit. Right? Yeah. And then that's about it. Then the V trigger just kind of runs its course. It doesn't have any other other abilities to it besides this poison shroud.
Yeah, like it's supposed to make you fear that F.A.N.G is not going to go in on you, and you're going to be poisoned right when you're close to him. It's supposed to make the opponent want to stay away from him, but it doesn't change anything. Basically, it's the same thing that you've been doing for the whole round. Did you read the no reversal options? Yeah. Under pressure. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about F.A.N.G?
No, that's pretty much for F.A.N.G.
To balance this character right now, of course, like I said, F.A.N.G is like one of the most unexplored characters in the game right now. This is just where we feel he is now. But I feel like Capcom should focus on his V-Trigger. I feel like that would be something to help improve the character. Either make it so his V-Trigger maybe doubles the ticking time of his poisons, increase the ticking time, something like that. not the amount of poison doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, the duration that you're poisoned for doesn't seem to matter. It's more about the speed of the poison.
Yeah.
Because we want Fang's design to be more about giving that urgency, where you force your opponent to make dumb mistakes because he wants to get in and he wants to get that poison off him as soon as possible. And that just doesn't seem to exist right now, even when he activates his V trigger. And I think that would definitely help the character out a lot.
Yeah.
Design wise too.
It'll depend what else they discover with him. I think they played it really safe with F.A.N.G because that poison mechanic is like slippery territory there. You gotta be really careful with the balancing when you have like a damage over time mechanic.
I think they just gave him too many options to poison the opponent, and that kind of messed up the balancing right there.
Yeah.
They should have made the way to poison the opponent much more limited, but then make it when you are poisoned, it's very significant, the damage. Because like I said, because of that, they nerfed the damage on all of his normals and attacks to compensate, and it compensated too far. And, it hurts the character overall.
But yeah, there might be something discovered. Like, he is an underexplored character, so he could maybe something not necessarily breaks the character, but really makes the character strong, and you might see him rise up from there.
Like, he's a well-designed character like Rashid, but like I said, it's another kind of numerical kind of issue I'd see. Really easy to tune. Okay,
so moving on to the next character, the last B- character we have is Zangief.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, you use Zangief a lot.
Yeah, I do. And he's like the funnest character to play for me right now.
So let's have you go over Zangief.
Okay, so let's go over his pros. Zangief has above average health and stun. So he's at 1050 health and 1050 stun, as he should be. Usually it's like the lower amount of tools a character has, or slower walk speed, or prone to zoning. Usually has higher health, higher stun, because he's able to make more risks and more mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how they balance that. He has high burst damage and high stun output. So if Zangief gets in and he guesses right maybe twice, you pretty much have won the round
pretty much.
with Zangief. His damage output is insane, as it should be. He's a close grappling character, and you should put fear into the opponent with not wanting to get close with him. Solid mind games off of Hard Punch and EX SPD, V Trigger, and Crouching Hard Punch anti-airs. So Zangief, he's got a really good mix-up game when he finally does get in. His Hard Punch and EX SPD puts him close enough where he can go for a light version or another EX version of his SPD right after. So it's really scary, kind of like this 50-50 situation where the opponents be like, okay, should I try jumping out or backdashing, or should I just block? Because Zangief is right in range for a meaty standing hard punch or a meaty standing hard kick, which can crush counter you, and then you're back into the same situation again. His V trigger kind of puts you in a 50-50 situation as well. He'll suck you in, and if you happen to get weren't blocking when you're sucked in, he can combo. He can go for a raw SPD, and then you get put into a mix-up situation. Or if the opponent tries to jump, you have options. Before, you could just do an air SPD if you anticipate the jump, but now players are starting to now use a crouching light kick or a crouching light punch, and if they're holding up back, they'll simply get hit by the normals, which then could be comboed back into V trigger. And then even when you get hit by the V trigger, Zangief can decide not to do an air EX SPD, and he could just do like a body splash, like a down hard punch, and go for a mix-up from there.
Yeah.
He can do, if you're close to stun, he can do a charged hard punch, fully charged hard punch after the V trigger, and it'll stun you. And then it's just insane damage from there. When he uses his anti-air, his crouching hard punch, it puts you in a reset situation, kind of similar to Birdie's crouching medium punch, except this is a hard version of a normal. And then once again, you have to guess between, is he going to SPD you when you land, or is he going to hit you with a meaty, such as standing hard kick or standing hard punch, which can be crush countered if you guess wrong. So Zangief is definitely rewarded when he finally does get in, which is a definite pro for the character. Matches can end really fast for him.
Just can't afford those mistakes.
Yeah.
I think his crouch heavy punch also crush counters, right?
Used to.
Oh, used to? Okay, it doesn't
It
anymore.
used to. It doesn't anymore.
So, just everything, like, once he gets his game going, it leaves you right next to him. And then you're in this kind of mind game between the command grab or meaty normals or something to call out your escape options.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, good comeback factor once he gets in. Good reset game with V Trigger. The thing is Zangief, even though he will have troubles getting in on the opponent, he will always get V Trigger once around, and which is a game changing tool for him that allows him a chance to get in at least once. So there will always be. As long as Zangief player is a decent player, he'll always get one opportunity to put you in a mix-up game, which is very scary because one mix-up game is all it'll take for Zangief to run it back on you, and that is actually a very huge pro for Zangief, because he doesn't have his glow fist.
Yeah, he doesn't have any kind of tools to get in easily, right? You have to play this very patient game with Zangief, but once you do get in, if you manage to get in,
Yeah,
you're heavily rewarded.
yeah. V skill is a double-edged sword, but allows for more unique punish opportunities. So yeah, his V skill is not as crazy as something like Ryu's, for example, but it does allow him to get around some of the zoning, and it allows people to stop spamming certain things that can be abused. For example, you don't have to worry about Nash doing a lot of his long range normals on you. If you anticipate a Nash doing a forward hard punch on you, for example, you can V skill it and then SPD him, and he puts in a mix up. So it forces other players to have to play a little differently against Zangief, even though their mission is to still zone you out with long range normals. They have to put some thought into it. They can't do it predictably because Zangief can work around this if he understands the matchup. Yeah, that's always a really great factor. It's a really good V skill for Zangief. When he activates his V trigger, he gets infinite armor when he walks forward, but I haven't seen a real big use for that besides getting blown up. Zangief takes a lot of damage when he uses his V skill. I know we're talking about pros, but it's something to keep in mind that when I say it's similar to Ryu's V skill, but it's not as good. And yeah, his V skill can combo into V trigger. It can combo into super.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
The flex, yeah. So there is some depth to it for sure, and like I said, it allows you to it's another tool that Zangief can use to get around zoning and people playing good footsies with you.
Even the whole V skill into the flex actually can like punish certain attacks, like Dalsum's limbs, for example.
Yeah,
he can go V skill, absorb the hit from the limb, and then flex, and then it hits Dalsum as he's retracting his limbs back. So it's a good tool for him overall. Kind of fits Zangief play style.
Yeah, and if you use V skill and you build up your V trigger and then you play it passively and let all your white health regenerate, then you'll get your V trigger much earlier, which is, like I said, game changing for him. He needs it as soon as possible. Decent long range normals for the mid range game: crouching light punch, crouching standing medium kick, standing hard punch, and crouching medium kick. Crouching light punch is probably it's the slowest crouching light punch in the game.
7-frame startup.
But the range for a normal of that speed is absolutely insane. Crouching light punch is pretty much Zangief's most used normal attack. You'll be using it constantly to hit check and to check if people are jumping or not after your strings and your mix-ups. It's his foundation for everything. Standing medium kick has got surprisingly long range. Standing hard punch is a crush counter, and you can charge it, which has armor. It doesn't have armor against low attacks though, and you'll actually get counter hit from that. And that's really good too. Even if they block it, you can go right into SPD on block, so that's pretty scary as well. Even though he's stationary, he can't move while he's doing it. There's a lot of damage. Crouching medium kick is really good too because you can special cancel from it.
Oh yeah.
So you can do some antics like cancel it into bear grab and really silly shit. For such a long range, crouching normal to be cancelable is worth noting because characters like Nash would love love to cancel his crouching medium kick, but Zangief can, and Zangief's got a good command normals too, man. Like his forward hard punch negates fireballs and it causes so much hit stun, and his forward medium kick is really good too because he's got high profile for a second and then he can get into SPD range and a lot of tricks, stuff like that. So in terms of normals and unique normals, Zangief's got a really good kit.
Yeah,
a really good kit. He's got the tools he needs to win.
Yeah, you just have to make a lot of reads with him.
Yeah.
Scroll down a little.
Oh, we still got more pros.
Yeah.
There's just so many pros. Okay. Ground and air, light punch EX SPD range is enormous. Yeah, so the light punch range on his SPD is insane. And his SPD range has been insane in previous games, but it's such a threat in this game that it causes people to always up back everything. And that's why the crutch and light punch has so much range as well to stop people from doing that and check-in. And it's such a scary threat that before the match even begins, it's completely played in a different way. Everything becomes much more scarier when Zangief comes in range and he's hitting you with normals. Every time Zangief hits you with a crouching light punch, the opponent is always thinking in his head, is the SPD coming?
Yeah.
Is it coming? Is it coming or not? It's so, you feel so uncomfortable to just sit and block Zangief because it's coming at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah. The only downside is that that light punch SPD, you lose basically your momentum after you do it. It puts them too far away. But the EX SPD is insane because it has almost the light punch range, if not more, I think. And then it puts you right next to the opponent. It puts you right there. You can do whatever you want. It's super scary. So the EX SPD is a big part of Zangief's game.
The air ones are also good. They beat out like DPs and stuff like that if you make the right reads. So their range is also similar to the grounded versions. So they're just really strong.
And the normal versions of his SPD actually keep him in the air, which can help you avoid some anti-air attacks.
That's true.
You can use some tricks, like if you jump in on Nash and he does super, tries to anti-air you can whiff an SPD and save yourself. Like you can use it like that. And his air SPD is quite good. Doesn't do as much damage as his ground versions, but it does put you a little closer and helps you with the mix-up. It's really unique for Zangief to have an air SPD in this game. Yeah. Good V reversal. Keeps the opponent standing and within light punch SPD range. So yeah, if you ever if the opponent's ever going in on you and you're ever under pressure with Zangief, because you can't spam or you can't churn anymore.
Yeah.
Because all command throws, the lowest is like 5 frames, right? So Zangief can't churn anymore, so he has to use his V reversal if he's under pressure. And once he hits you with it, the opponent is automatically put into a mix-up situation, which is really cool. You can even combo after it on like Nash's EX moonsault, right?
I don't know if that's still in the game, but I remember there was a video saying like after certain attacks, right? If you V reversal them, it puts them in a juggle state, and then you can go like air EX SPD or something.
I think I've seen someone like combo into super from it, but I don't remember from all the other betas. But yeah, his V reversal is quite good because, like I said, it keeps the opponent standing. It's one of the only V reversals that you'd want to not knock down the opponent in that situation, right? Because you want to put him in that mix-up setup. V-trigger combos lead into big damage, and V-trigger suction creates really good mind games. So, like I said before, his V-trigger is a huge part of his game. It helps you. You can just tap it, and it will go right through projectiles, and you can use it to advance forward. If you hold it down, the more you hold down the V-trigger, the longer the range, the vacuum range becomes, and eventually, if you hold it down long enough, it'll suck in the opponent towards you, and you'll put him into a free mix-up situation. If he blocks it, it's still not too bad. It's not like is it unsafe when you completely blocks the twirl?
Not really. It like really pushes them out of range though. So
yeah, it pushes them really far away. But if you land it, you pretty much, like, the opponent's at your mercy. You can decide to go for a mix-up. You can decide just to go for damage. And it's just such a huge part of the game. It's a really well-designed V-trigger. Taking away his banishing flat is the whole reason where this V-trigger comes in to compensate for that.
Also creates like a mind game in itself once you've activated it. You see like Zangief walking forward you with the V-trigger activated. It's really scary in that you don't want to throw projectiles too much or too predictable. Very hard to just like throw out normals because he can just suck you in. And then if you decide to jump in anticipation of the V-trigger, the spin, he can just anti-air you from there, and then he puts you in that mix-up game, and then he's got the V-trigger to really capitalize off of the damage. So just having it activated causes like this momentum shift.
And even if you're not successful on sucking in the opponent on the initial activation, you're making all your normals super threatening from that point on. Any normal can lead back into the V trigger. They all can cancel into the V trigger. and then you're sucked in. It can even suck you in from a light punch, a crouching light punch. So that's insane. So really scary.
So even though he has all these pros,
A lot of pros.
he does have some significant cons to him. Obviously, his walk speed is really slow for good reason, but it does make it really hard to get in. Like his jumps are also short range. He doesn't travel very far off his jumps. They're kind of slow too.
He's a big target too, man.
Yeah. His dash, they're really slow, and there's a lot of recovery on that forward dash. Like it's just really hard to just go forward dash SPD. It's just too much recovery on it, and it's highly punishable.
In a game where a lot of the dashes are really good, in this game, you know.
Yeah, and for that reason, he ends up struggling a lot in the neutral game. Like just to get in on someone, it's really difficult for Zangief, especially if they have strong normals, like strong long range normals, good walk speed, or even projectiles. Right, like he just struggles to get in on people. Obviously, that's part of his design intent because he's got higher health, higher stun to compensate. But yeah, he does struggle a lot in the neutral game as a result, which means you have to be really patient when you play Zangief, and once you get in, you have to make a series of good reads to maintain pressure or to maintain being close to the opponent. Once they get out, you've got to play that whole game, like that whole neutral game from the scratch, and that's where it's really frustrating for Zangief players.
In a high-end match, you're only going to get in maybe once.
Yeah.
And you have to make it count. You have to make it count.
And if they manage to get out, it's like it might be over right there. He's got no reversal options, and the only thing he can really do is V reversal, which is pretty good. But yeah, sacrificing that V trigger for the V reversal is pretty significant. So when he's on the defensive, it's a struggle for him as well. So not only does he have problems getting in, he has problems getting people off of him as well. And because of that, we feel he is B- right now. Snake Eyes really makes him look good and viable, and he is not a terrible character. Right? You can win with this character, but even then, like Snake Eyes still struggles at majors. Like he still struggles with multiple matchups and stuff like that, and that's kind of like Zangief's design intent. He is going to struggle against zoning characters like Nash, good footsie characters like Vega and Chun-Li. Like because of that, he's just naturally going to be lower on the tier list because he has some very problematic matchups that are hard to overcome with him.
He's more about winning with the character. It's more about you winning, not the character.
Yeah.
The character's not going to carry you. Zangief is a very honest character that he tries to. It's all about making the right reads and taking advantage of the opponent's mistakes. But if the opponent plays a perfect game, you're simply just not going to get in. Your V trigger happens, and then you have to gamble on your V trigger, making the right read on that, right?
Yeah.
So, like the cons, we didn't list too many, but these are significant.
They're significant. Cons.
These are huge ones.
In general, any character that has a weak neutral game or struggles in the neutral game, that is really significant con to put them lower on the tier list. Just because they have high damage output or a good mix-up game, if you can't get in to land it, then it doesn't matter. You have to have a strong neutral game to back that up, and that's why characters who have stronger neutral games are going to be ranked higher here.
And then no reversal option on top of that.
Yeah.
So when he gets rushed down, right? Even though that's something Zangief would want, like I said, his command throw, all versions are 5 frames. Like you can't just churn anymore. There's no real threat when the opponent has you knocked down. He doesn't be scared of you when you're getting up.
Yeah. So that wraps up for Zangief there. And
well, what do you think? Like usually we talk about what they can work on. With each character.
Yeah.
But Zangief, like a grappling character, is so hard to balance. Usually, like some fighting games, every character has the same health.
Yeah.
And it's even harder to balance a grappling character in that sense. But with Capcom, they're like, to balance Zangief, we're giving him high damage, more health, more stun.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's enough?
To overcome his weaknesses, not necessarily. Like I feel he was designed intentionally with these weaknesses. It's just very tough because usually in the early lifespan of a fighting game, grapplers usually tend to elevate to the top.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Because the thing is, nobody's learned their optimize combos, optimize damage output, setups, or whatever like that. But grapplers are very easy to use in that aspect because they don't have many combos, and the command grab in itself does so much damage that they usually end up winning straight up from that. And for that reason, they usually end up higher on the tier list initially, and then once everything starts getting figured out and how to counter grappling characters, they tend to like fall straight to the bottom a lot of the times. So we didn't really see that happen with Zangief here. And I feel it's because Capcom, since they have experience in making fighting games, they kind of see how these things work, and they try to balance it as much as possible. How to not necessarily fix Zangief, but how to help him out a little. It's tough. Like, I feel a lot of the way he's designed are done intentionally, and modifying one of those design intents really changes the balance of the game. So I'm not quite entirely sure how you would help Zangief while balancing other aspects of him. Maybe changes to his normals or something like that. Like he was previously like a strong footsie-based character, and you don't want to give him too much damage output as well, because then it's like the risk reward is too heavily in his favor. You don't want to give him a reversal option. Like EX Greenham is pretty ridiculous in SF4, so you don't want to give him that kind of tool. And it kind of, if you give him a tool to get in on projectiles, it overshadows his V skill, right? Like the design intent of the V skill, design intent of his armor, normals, stuff like that. So, and his V trigger. So it's like, it's very tough. I don't know what exactly they should do here with this character.
One thing I'd like them to change, as playing Zangief myself, is I feel like he takes way too much damage when he absorbs with his V skill. Way too much damage.
Yeah, he does take a lot of white life.
You know, like you want to use your V skill because you want to build your V trigger. But if I use my V skill on two,
like twice, if you use it twice,
you throw two sonic booms with me Nash, and I'm using it, and then I see my great health or my white health, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, oh please start replenishing now. But then I'm still under pressure, and I'm messing around, I'm neutral jumping, I'm trying to get it replenished, and then I can go in. It's so time consuming. It seems like it takes forever.
Yeah.
And it's just way too much damage. If I get hit once, it's like boom. My V trigger's activated, but that's because half my health is gone.
Yeah.
So
it's like either he gains more V gauge off of a successful V skill absorb, or like he takes less white damage.
Yeah. I think it's just too much right now.
That part could use some adjustment for sure.
All right, you want to move on, man?
Yeah, so that wraps up the B- characters.
It's over, guys. If you didn't hear your character, don't worry, he's not in B-. But just want to say it again, like B- is the lowest tier we have, but it doesn't mean the character sucks.
If B- is the lowest character, like lowest tier that we have, that means the game balance is pretty good.
Yeah, like
the highest we have is just A+.
If you guys seeing what a 9-10 matchup looks like, it is broken.
It is pretty bad.
But Street Fighter 5 is pretty balanced. Yeah.
You haven't seen the bad matchups of ST. So yeah, that really speaks on the balance of Capcom. Like I really have to reiterate that. Like B- being the lowest on the tier listing for us, that's really good. It means the tier list is super compressed. So moving into our B tier character, and I say character because I only have one in here.
There's only one character in the B tier, which is very funny.
And that character is Laura. Bonita. Laura is a very interesting character. Another really well-designed character, and a very interesting take on the grappler archetype. She's pretty explored, but there's still room for improvement with this character. If we're moving on to her pros, she's got some really high burst damage and stun combos. Like she can go from 0 to stun so quickly off of like maybe two mix-ups, and you're like stun territory, or you're stunned all right, and then you're dead. So just off of one opening, she can really get started, and then that's pretty much it. She's got some really amazing mix-ups off of her X Fireball juggles. It's just basically a left-right from there. You do stand, like you land X Fireball up close, stand medium kick, V skill, you're behind them, and then she gets like a really super meaty setup off of her stand medium punch, where if it happens to hit, it hits on the last active frame, and then you can end up linking into crouch heavy punch afterwards, and then you can do her medium bolt charge into the one of her follow-ups, and then she gets a meaty setup off of that. So she has like this cascading factor to her. Even then, off of the EX fireballs, you don't even have to stay like go behind them. You can stay in front, like crouch heavy punch into V skill, and you end up staying in front. But because of the way the normal, like the leading in normals, it kind of gives a tell on whether she's going to be behind you or in front of you.
Okay. Is there like a sound difference too, or no?
Not really. It just depends on what normal she uses. At least from what I've seen Laura players do.
Yeah.
There's usually a tell in that regards.
The thing is, like, when Laura actually dizzies you, which is a very high chance because she has so much stun output, she gets the craziest combos from stun because she can do a full charge fireball, and you're basically dead, man. Like, she's got such good damage output when,
all of her knockdowns creates consistent meaty setups for, like, really extended offense because they're, like, command grabs or command hit grabs kind of thing. And the way SF5 works is that those type of attacks, you can't back tech. You can only quick rise or not tech at all. And because of this, it's really easy to just know your meaty setups from that. And you can like cover different aspects. So it's like, okay, I use this normal right away. If they quick rise, it's meaty. If they don't, it whiffs. Then I do this sequence right afterwards, and then it will meaty their normal get up time.
so it's layered.
Yeah. So just like she's got this like consistency going about her once she gets that knockdown, and that's what makes her really scary. It's like she's got all these layers to it, and it's like all these meaties, all these different mix-ups, and it's just one after another.
The thing is, like, Zangief, he has to land like a hard punch or EX SPD to really get that mix-up going.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do a light SPD, you basically lose your momentum right there. But the thing with Laura, there's a ton of things that can get the wheel turning, you know?
Yeah. She's got a really strong up-close game. A lot of her normals are like +3 on block, which is absolutely amazing in this game.
For a grappler?
Like stand light kick, stand medium punch, they're +3 on block.
Which is very rare. Like, there's not too many characters.
There's not too many characters that actually have +3 on block normals. So for Laura to have them, that's really good. And so it gives her like a really good frame trap game because a lot of her counter hits allow her to then hit confirm into one of her command like bolt charge into the knockdown and then start the ball rolling, or being +3 on block, you can then set up command grabs or regular throws or V skill cancels and stuff like that. And it's just this constant barrage. So it's like this very scary presence when Laura's in your face, and even then she can cancel into her fireball, like EX fireball, and like be plus there, and it's just really hard to push buttons on Laura. You want to push buttons, but you can't. And you don't want to sit there and block because then she'll command grab you. So when she's in there pushing buttons in your face, it's like, when do I get out? What can I do to get out? And it's tough. Her fireball, it's so multi-purpose. It's insane. For a grappler to have a fireball is really crazy.
Yeah.
It controls space. Like, it controls like the space in the neutral game. It's a slow fireball and travels. Like, if you charge it, I mean, it travels a pretty decent distance depending on which version you're using, but it just allows her to follow behind it.
And it's got a lot of like armor to it. You know?
Like 2, 3.
I think up to 3
hits of armor or whatever, or like durability.
Yeah, durability. That's the term.
So it just allows her to follow the fireball, and even though she doesn't like get in on the opponent right there, it allows you to close the distance, and that's really important. It creates a lot of mix-up opportunities. Like sometimes she can create the sandwich effect with the fireball, and using like her fierce punch or heavy punch bolt charge, where she goes like at that 45-degree angle, and then she lands behind them, and the fireball's still right behind them.
Oh yeah. That's
so you can get the sandwich effect going there for her mix-ups. It's also pretty good in zoning against other fireball characters, because then if they want to zone you from full screen, you can full charge this fireball, let it go, and then slowly follow it, and let the fireball kind of handle their fireball.
Yeah, which is strange. Like I say, a grappling character is supposed to be, weakness is supposed to be zoning, but then, she has a projectile too.
So it's pretty crazy. And she has like another multi-purpose tool for V skill. It just gives her more mobility because it's a command dash. Creates mix-up options off of her EX fireball, because then you get the stand medium kick, juggle into the left-right with the V skill. Or even off of like anti-airs, like her stand medium punch. You anti-air with the stand medium punch. If you cancel into V skill, you can go left right again. And then you have that additional layer where if you do a neutral V skill, it's an overhead. Now the overhead is punishable. It's like -7 on block.
That's pretty big.
It's still an overhead. It's still a tool for you to get damage, to open people up, for people to be concerned about.
And it crush counters, and
oh yeah, it's crazy.
It crush counters, and even like most of the time when people are up backing you, it'll catch people in the air.
Yeah,
which is a lot of active frames for an overhead.
And if you use it as a meaty, there's some actual meaty setups that people have created using the V skill, the overhead V skill. They can actually link right afterwards, link into stand jab bolt charge, the jab bolt charge, and then she gets like a mix up off of there. So it has its uses, and it's, even though it's punishable, it's still really good. Her V trigger is one of the more interesting V triggers I've seen in the game. It improves her V skill mobility, like her maneuverability. It makes your V skill travel farther, and it's faster. So when she's got V trigger activated, you can't just kind of sleep on where she is. Like, she might be far range, but one V skill and she's like right up to you. So you have to be constantly aware, like in an instant she could be right next to you.
The thing about like the difference between like a character with a normal dash and a command dash is that the character with a command dash is able to cancel normals into it. So it allows you to put pressure and then immediately get out. And it is kind of gimmicky, like doing canceling a normal into a forward command dash.
Because it is unsafe. In those situations, she's unsafe, and you can actually punish her when she does that command dash. But you're worried about so many different things going on when she's pressuring you. If they use it sparingly and correctly, then you kind of forget the fact that she's
it's another
negative.
tool. It's another tool for her to get in. Yeah.
Her V trigger also decreases the amount of time it takes to charge her fireballs, so you can get those fireballs out faster. And the fireballs themselves, I think they travel farther too. So the fact that it boosts that fireball is significant for her neutral game, just because like she can charge it out, get that out right away, and then she can start V-skilling through it, right? Or V-skilling behind it. And it's just like this really, really strong improvement in her neutral game. She also gets new mix-up options off of the V-trigger. Like in the corner, if you land the EX Fireball and you go stand fierce and you do forward V-skill, you can't cross under them. You can't go behind them at all. But when she has V-trigger activated, she can go back V-skill, and then forward V-skill. And then she ends up behind them in the corner. So it's like new mix-up options that you never... that she can't do without the V-trigger. So like this V-trigger is very powerful for Laura. It opens up so many more opportunities for her on top of her regular game. And like the combo damage she gets off of a combo starter into the V-trigger activation is insane. It just starts her whole game too. So very scary when she gets in, but there are some cons, and she does suffer the same cons as other grappling characters. She's got slow walk speed. Her dashes are kind of mediocre. Her normals are slow, but they have pretty good range on it. Like they're mediocre, but it makes her footsie game really difficult because she has problems like with punishing faster normals here, and she has problems contending with footsie based characters, zoners as well. She just has problems against those matchups. And like it's the same problem with grapplers. Even though she has a fireball, I mean, she still suffers because her walk speed is still slow. Like the V skill sort of compensates for it, but it's still an issue for her. She's also a super technical character. You really have to understand all of her meaty setups and her mix-up options. If you don't understand any of that, you can't really do much with the character. She doesn't have like many 2-hit confirms off her regular hits. Like the best she can do is like stand light kick ×2 or stand light kick, stand light punch into bolt charge, but that's like barely any damage. You can create a little pseudo mix-up game afterwards, but it's barely any damage you get that. In order to really capitalize, she has these hit confirms when she gets the counter hit, or if she hits the super like meaty setups off of EX Fireball juggles, right? And if you don't understand any of that, or you can't hit confirm off of counter hits, you're gonna have a hard problem like getting damage with her. and like because she's got slow walk speed and she struggles in that neutral game, she tends to see a lot of lower players, so like they jump, and she has a good cross up that jump medium kick, but
She does.
but it's like jumping is like one of the worst things you can do in Street Fighter. So
Of course.
she gets easily anti-aired at it, right? Like it just makes it very telegraphed and predictable at her approach option, so they can like easily keep her out as her in the neutral game. But like once she gets in, she's like Zangief in that aspect. Once she gets in, she's very scary. Because of that neutral game deficiency, it's very hard to really rank her higher. Like she also doesn't even have a reversal option. So once she's on the defensive, she has problems. Like EX Bolt Charge, it has armor, but it's not frame 1 armor. It's like on the 3rd frame, I think that's when the armor kicks in.
That's usually for most armor attacks, yeah.
So if you have a proper meaty setup against Laura, she can't do anything about it. She has to take all that pressure. Her V skill is not too bad. It does cause a knockdown on hit, so it's a decent V skill.
You mean V reversal?
Yeah, V reversal. Sorry,
Okay.
V reversal. So she has one of the better V reversals because it actually does knock down.
I see most lower players are using that quite a lot. Her V reversal.
It's the only way for her to really alleviate pressure when she gets rushed down, and then they can try to go back into the neutral game and work from there. So it kind of wraps up the pros and cons I have for Laura.
The thing is like, why would we rate Laura higher than Zangief? I feel like it's because the trade-off seems to be Zangief's got better mid-range normals than Laura, but Laura has got way easier ways to get you into that mix-up and then keep mixing you up, right? Whereas Zangief, he gets like one mix-up and then it kind of stops.
Yeah.
Laura's just got more options to get it, more mobility, and the projectile just gives her more tools than Zangief in that sense.
Yeah, her essentially her neutral game is better than Zangief, and as a result, like that improves her over Zangief.
And she still has high damage, high stun.
High damage, really high stun. Like
it's also worth noting she's the only female character in the game with 1,000 health.
yeah,
and that's significant too, man. Like she doesn't have low health for all these tools, so that's why she's in her own tier. So how do we bump Laura up here?
you have to be very careful of Laura because you give her too much in the neutral game, and then she runs away with it when she gets in.
Yeah.
So you can't allow that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an intentional design intent, like intentional balance design.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bump her neutral tools, yeah, it'll make her better, but then you have to drop her mix up tools as a result. So you have to play it really carefully with Laura in that regards. They're very specific with command dashes. Anything normals canceled into command dashes, they made sure they're minus frames because otherwise they'd be perpetually in block stun. So you can't really adjust her V skill to be less minus. Like it should be punishable because the reward she gets when she gets in is too high.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very tricky. It's another character I'm not quite sure of how you improve her neutral game without taking away too much from her core game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, if you improve her neutral game, you have to like maybe lower damage or stun off of her mix-up game or off of her combos, which I think some people would probably like to trade off from there.
Cause it would be worth the trade, right? Because you would lose some damage output, but it would bump her up because it's not something you have to struggle with every round, right?
Yeah. Walk speed's probably where you'd want to really change things. Like her walk speed's pretty slow. Her dash is it's mediocre. So little things like that could make her better, or make her some normals faster, like so she can play the footsie game a little bit better, or that mid-range game. That'd be where I'd focus on for improvements with Laura. But again, you have to really be careful with the how much you improve her neutral. You have to then lower her up close game a little.
Yeah, like grappling characters are the most sensitive to balance changes, and just one tip of the scale and everything could just fall over. It's crazy.
So that's it for our B tier characters.
Yeah, our one B tier character.
So now we're into our B plus characters.
Okay, this was a very difficult character for you and me to figure out. So
this is the one character I struggled the most to think of where to place this character.
So this one's going to cause some controversy.
There's definitely going to be some controversy over the placement of this character. And that character is R.Mika.
So R.Mika we put in B+. And like I said, this took us We think about this for so long. It's just so crazy. So go ahead, Killy.
Yeah. So like at one point we had R.Mika at like A minus around there. But
Yeah.
it's just when you review it, it just
When we think strictly on the matchup and both players playing at the highest level, that's what kept us coming back to putting her down.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go over her pros. She has extremely high damage output and stun output. It is crazy the amount of damage she can get off of her regular bread and butters.
As a graphic character, shit.
Yeah. But then once you factor into V-trigger and all that, it just expedites like crazy. Just absolutely crazy how fast she can turn it around. If you followed Hamiko's Twitter, he has sequences with Mika where it's like one combo, one command grab, and they're stunned. And then the post combo after the stun, they're dead.
To the point of being like unintended.
Yeah.
Like to the point of Capcom not anticipating the tech people would find.
Like she is just crazy with her damage output. She's got some really good corner carry, like Irish Whip, which is the toss where she bounce off of the walls, right?
Yeah.
If you do the forward Irish Whip, like she just corner carries you so well. Or even if you're like, because you can toss them behind you too, you can toss them into the corner, like behind you, right?
It
side
causes
swap.
once you get hit by it, it causes anybody who's playing against her to instantly roll their eyes.
Yeah,
Like you're just like, oh, here we go, right?
Yeah, because this is what the Irish Whip like really starts her mid-range mix-up game. After Irish Whip, she'll backdash, cause you to wall bounce mid-screen, and then she either finish the combo into like EX Shooting Peach, which also is a really good corner carry move, or she goes crouch heavy punch and then causes a 50-50 game from there between her command grabs, regular throws, her meaty normals, stuff like that.
And this is not it's a grab, but it's not like this is something you can confirm into.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to make a read. This is something you can literally hit confirm into.
Yes.
And it's funny because the backdash and making the wall bounce or whatever, that was taken out at one point.
Yes.
And then Capcom decided to put it back in. So it's
I do like the fact that they put it back in because it was a really interesting.
It was
tactic.
interesting.
But oh my god, once she gets off of it, it was just like, oh, this character's too crazy.
Yeah.
Then she has the giant swing, which is her punch version of her command grab. It side swaps, but it tosses you so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to toss someone into the corner, side swap into the corner, it's really good for that. So like her corner carry game is also really strong.
Yeah.
She's got ridiculous set play game anywhere on the screen. And when I say set play, it's like set play to define is just her mix-up game.
The best set play in the game.
She's the only character that has such like the strongest set play, like just true 50-50s anywhere on screen, and it loops into itself. That's the major thing. It's like most of the time when like Laura or Geef lands their mix-up, it's like they get a mind game off of it, but it's not like a true like 50-50.
There's some holes, there's some gimmicks to it, some of it. But with Mika, they are true 50-50s.
It's true 50-50s, and it's repeated 50-50s.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strong. Like I mentioned before, there's sequences from Hamiko's Twitter. It's like a V-trigger combo, a command grab mix-up afterwards. If it lands, they're stunned, and then the stun combo is death.
Like as soon as she touches you, the game turns into Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's just 50-50.
boom.
It's just a series of 50-50s.
Yeah.
Like we've all seen Marn and other Mika players where they do like that mid-screen V-trigger combo that ends in that neutral jump light kick, and then it's left-right from there. It's like it's so hard to react to that just to see where you're gonna land. And then if he lands the hit, it's Irish Whip time. You're back into a 50-50 situation, and it just cascades from there. And with her damage output and her stun output, it's like that one combo into that mix-up, that could be it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really aggravating to play against her because she kind of takes out the core Street Fighter out, and when she lands that hit, it's just a series of guessing games.
Yeah, because like once she gets to, since it's a 50-50, it doesn't matter how good you are, how good your opponent is. It literally comes down to that coin flip, that guess. And that's why you have people like Infiltration in Tournament, when he's guessing at 50-50, all he does is just up back every time. He's like, eventually, he's not going to go for this option, so I'm just going to pick one and stick with it. There's no sense changing it up every time.
Yeah.
Right? Just stick with one plan and go for it.
Yeah.
Because it like I said, it's a true 50-50.
And because of that 50-50, she's got one of the strongest comeback factor in the game. Just like it doesn't matter how badly she's losing in that neutral game, she lands that one hit, and if she's stocked with meter and she's stocked with V trigger, oh man, you're gonna have a bad time. Everyone has a bad
B
time.
plus again. We're saying so much good stuff about her. Okay, keep going.
She's got pretty good mind games too. Like she has the typical command grab or grappler mind game. She's got some decent plus frame normals, like her stand jab's +3, or it's 3 frames. It's like +2 or something like that. +1, +2.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 frames, but go ahead. I'll check it out.
She's got a 3-frame jab that's plus on block. Then she's got forward fierce +3 on block, so it's pretty good meaty launches, crush counter, stuff like that. It just complements her command grab, and her command grab has a lot of range. Probably like outside of SPD, it's probably the next command grab that has the highest range.
It's pretty far, yeah.
Like I think you can do like 2 jabs, and if they block it, they're still within her command grab range, or at least her punch command grab. Right, so it's still really strong. And then after the command grabs, like if she lands it, 1 forward dash, and she's still plus frames. So if you quick rise or back tech, she can go like another. She's still in range of the command grab, or she can go like a meaty normal and then go from there.
Her standing light punch is 3 startup and +2 on block.
+2 on block, so that's
+3
really
on hit. Yep.
That's pretty strong for a stand jab. Actually, not pretty. It's really strong. Her charge stand heavy kick. This normal it's pretty strong. It has
especially online, man.
It has some
Especially
weaknesses,
online.
but like when you charge it, it goes quite a bit of distance, and it crush counters on hit, like on counter hit. On regular hit, she can combo afterwards too. But this, when she starts charging it, you need an immediate answer on this, or if you block it, you're in a 50-50 game, which is really crazy when you think about it. Blocking a far range normal, and all of a sudden you're in a 50-50 game.
That is really strange.
Because I think it's what, +2? What's the frame data on that? Go back.
Oh, it might be different because it's an aerial move, but
Charged one +2, so it's +2 on block when it's fully charged, and this is like a big problem because now when you block it, she can go stand short and then fish for that target combo into Flying Peach or whatever, or if you sit there and block, she can just command grab you, and so you get put in that kind of mind game right off the bat just by blocking that normal.
like if she was 2+, if she went for an immediate command grab, it would whiff because there's still a block stun.
But because the command grabs are 5 frames and she's only +2, like it's like the perfect timing for her.
And throws beat normals on the same frame.
Yeah. So it's really scary. So you have to answer her stand heavy kick as soon as she starts charging it. So either you got to jab her out right away, or you got a low profile, you got a neutral jump or something, right? You can beat it, but it's just you got to react quickly to it, and you
got to stop it before it happens.
Yeah.
And if it's happened, then you're screwed.
Yeah, you're in trouble if you block it. And then she's got ways around zoning and anti-airs with her jump down. I think it's down medium punch, which is the body splash.
And
her
charge hard kick goes over fireballs too.
Yeah, and same with her crouching heavy kick. It slides under fireballs.
Oh, yeah.
So that jump down, that body splash is really good at like faking out fireball, like anti-air timings when you try to get around fireballs, or even like people or characters that have really good anti-air normals.
Yeah, it changes your trajectory.
Yeah. Her anti-air, her crouch medium punch, it's a pretty solid anti-air, and it's like every other grappler where they land that anti-air and it leaves, she recovers first and then you land right next to her, and now you're in this 50-50 game again, where it's like meaty normal, throw, or command grab. Well, I wouldn't say 50-50 from there, but it's like basically it's like between the command grab or the meaty normal.
It's just the Irish whip that makes it so much more scary than other grapplers, right?
Yeah,
because she can confirm into it.
Yeah. Her V reversal, it's pretty good. Like, it's the Stone Cold Stunner, and it causes a knockdown. But the thing is, after the knockdown, it gives her, like, a mix-up option. Because she can dash, and I think she's, like, plus frames still.
Oh, really?
So it's, like, it's kind of scary for V reversal to kind of leave him within that range. It is slow, and you can block it if you use certain normals against her, but yeah, the reward she gets from the V reversal is kind of higher than what most other characters get.
She's at +1 after a dash.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And then her V trigger, like her V trigger is crazy. One of the best V triggers in the game, in my opinion. It automatically forces the opponent to turtle up, like to play defensive once they see that V trigger activation. She has a pretty good tell, like because she can delay when Nadeshiko comes in. So if you see Mika raise one arm, it's like immediate, right?
Yeah.
And then if you see Mika raise both arms, it's a delayed Nadeshiko.
There's only two different timings, fast and slow.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't know which way Nadeshiko is coming. So Nadeshiko can come from in front, from behind, or from above. Which means if you try to jump back from it and she goes from above, she'll clip you out of it. And then depending on the hit and stuff like that, Mika might be able to confirm. No, I don't think she can confirm off of the straight drop one. But if it hits you from the sides, she can convert into damage.
The straight drop one, it actually OTGs.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Actually OTGs. You don't see it too often, but that's pretty cool.
Because most people can quick rise out of it. Or everyone can quick rise out of those kind of situations.
But the drop one is so scary because it's like the fastest one in terms of getting it out there, so you can use it to jump over your opponent and do stupid shit.
Yeah. And she gets like mix-up options off of it. Like once they start turtling in, like the most common thing is she does the crouch heavy punch into the V trigger activation, which leaves her plus on block. But then what happens afterwards is that she can use her wingless airplane to jump over you. And if she does the Nadeshiko where she comes in from the side, it crosses you up. But then if she decides to do a delayed drop or delayed Nadeshiko, and you're sitting there turtling up, she can command grab you right there because you're sleeping, right?
Yeah.
And then if not, if she does the immediate one, instead of crossing you up with a wingless airplane, she can just stay in front and then hit you with a normal instead. And then Nadeshiko comes, hits you, and then she converts into it. And then you're back into that kind of 50-50 game from there.
Yeah, our crouching hard punch on V trigger on hit is +9. And on block, it's +7.
Oh my god.
So if she hits you with crouching hard punch into V trigger, you're hers, man.
It's a bad.
Yeah, you're screwed.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of that, this V trigger gives her an opening to get in, and that kind of leads into our cons here because this is where she struggles the most.
See, like we told you guys such amazing pros for this character, and this is why me and Killy struggled so hard where to put this character. But we have to come down to the core. We keep coming back to the core part of the game and what makes a character good.
Just the neutral game. But she does have below average health to start off with, 950 health. So it takes a little less to kill her.
Yeah.
Her walk speed isn't the greatest. It's kind of slow. It's not as slow as Zangief. Might be a little bit faster than Loris. I'm not entirely sure.
I would imagine it would be, but I can check while you're talking.
So she's got the slow walk speed, and her dashes are kind of mediocre as well. But her neutral tools is where she suffers the most. She really struggles against zoning and footsie-based characters if they're playing on point. Like it really requires Mika players to play like unorthodox or to have to get really good reads, like utilizing the body splash that kind of throw off anti-air times, maybe to counter hit them there, more jumps than necessary.
A random EX Peach.
Random EX Peaches, stuff like that. So what is her walk speed?
She is faster than Laura.
Okay, slightly faster than Laura.
She's faster than
She's like middle in the pack.
Her walk speed is even faster than Ken's.
Wow.
Oh no, it's the same as Ken's.
Okay.
Sorry.
So she's in the middle of the pack with the walk speed. So it's
Yeah.
decent, but it's not. It's like it's not the greatest. Like the main point is that her normals with her walk speed, it's very hard for her to play like that footsie game. Her normals aren't that great for mid range. Like the medium kick, you can kind of control the direction going forward, but like it leaves her negative. Like a lot of her normals leave her negative on block. Stand medium punch leaves her negative on block. Crouch medium kick leaves her negative on block. And like those are her like party starters. Like that stand medium punch is the most important one because that's her party starter. That's what leads into Irish Whip. If you whiff or not whiff, if you go into Irish Whip on block, she's minus 27, right? Like,
And people are not punishing that right now.
Like it's really bad.
Minus 27 is pretty bad, man.
you gotta hit confirm into that properly. Otherwise, yeah, you're really negative. But like if she doesn't land it meaty enough, like that's the end of her pressure. I think she's -2. Even her target combo, the light kick into
Medium punch,
it's -5. You can punish that with a stand jab into whatever, a special cancel.
But people aren't punishing
No.
that either.
It's kind of, that one's hard to react to, but it is punishable. Like, a lot of her stuff is negative on block, and then she's just gotta stop. That's the end of her pressure game. So if she doesn't make that one good read into a command grab or into a combo starter, that's it. And then she has to play that neutral game again. And if you keep her out, then she's dead. And like, just watch that Justin versus Marn match at NCR. That is like the pure definition of why Mika is in B plus tier. You keep her out, she's done. And it's actually like, if the player understands how to keep Mika out, it's actually easier to do consistently against them. It's just once they get in, it's bad. It's like that one hit,
especially in an offline match.
Yeah, like if you keep her out properly, she can't get in and she's done. Her crush counter normals, they're very situational. Like, they're not the greatest. They're only good for punishes. That charge stand roundhouse, you're not whiff punishing anyone. It just happens if like they throw out a normal trying to stuff your stand.
That happens to me all the time, by the way.
Charge roundhouse or charge heavy kick, and
Yeah.
they miss time and they get crush counter. It's like the only time you're going to see that happen, really.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare that you're going to get that crush counter out for their intended purposes.
But what about our forward hard punch?
It's only meaty. It's only good as a meaty and stuff like that.
I guess it's too
it's too
close.
slow. It's 10 frames startup,
Mm-hmm.
but it's +3 on block, right? So you
Mhm.
want it as that meaty after a knockdown,
Yeah.
and that's the only time you're gonna really see.
Like, it's not like a neutral tool. It's basically used as part of your mix-up
Yeah.
game, and it's gonna knock them up anyways,
Yeah.
right? Even on hits. So
Yeah. So you don't see that forward heavy punch too much. Crush counter be outside of those kind of situations there, like
Mhm.
not in neutral. Her V skill, it's too situational. Like the charging of the mic is really slow. It's good against kind of like fireball characters to kind of try to force them to stop zoning you,
Mhm.
because you'll just get those buffs. But it's just the V skill in itself is like, you'll see it in combos, maybe in the occasional fireball character matchup, or like from full screen sometimes. But it's like the buff in itself is not. It's like, yeah, it buffs her throws and command grabs, but all it takes is like one hit and then it's gone. And it's pretty easy. Like, the only way she's gonna get it if she does it from full screen, basically. And if you keep her out or you play that zoning game, she's more than likely gonna lose that buff trying to get in.
Mm-hmm. It's also worth knowing that Laura's walkback speed is actually faster than Mika's.
Oh, okay.
So there's like kind of like a trade-off.
Trade-off
that's worth
there.
mentioning.
But for that reason, because of the neutral game being so bad for Mika, we have to put Mika in B plus.
It was a really hard decision, guys.
Like,
I'm not joking. Like,
we went back and forth on Mika so many times. I had her in A tier at one point, and then we're like, no, it's like maybe A minus.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know about A minus, and then it's like finally we settled on B plus.
it made it hard because like we're seeing like the results of her doing so well, but the thing is that
There's a consistency issue with it. Like, Nando made top 8 at final round with Mika, but then if you see him at his result in NCR, he was like 17th or something like that.
and that was 1 week later.
That was 1 week later. And then Fudo, right? Fudo's another R.Mika player. He didn't make top like 32 at both tournaments or something like that. Or he, like, I can't remember where Fudo ranked at final round, but he failed to make top 16, I think, or top 8. Definitely top 8 in both tournaments. But he consistently, Fudo didn't make it very high with R.Mika.
And then closely watching Marn, the amount of stuff he was getting away with was insane.
Yeah, Marn, there was a clear lack of matchup understanding by a lot of players. So Marn got away with a lot of unsafe tactics.
And then once he ran into Justin,
Yeah,
he
Justin
basically exploited it, right?
basically, like, the two characters that put a stop to Marn were players that had really strong neutral game, and characters that had strong neutral games. So, like, that just shut down Marn altogether, and that's the biggest weakness of Mika. And if once people start understanding that, like, I feel like she's gonna struggle more and more, and we won't see her place as well in the future. But that burst out damage output, that burst mix-up game, is what keeps her like higher in the tier.
That's what makes her go above Zangief and Laura.
Yeah.
Like, it's too crazy. It's too crazy, for sure. Yeah, if you're a Mika player, you know, you don't have to worry about being B plus. Like,
Yeah.
once you get in once, man, it's
Roll the dice.
It's roll the dice, man. You can beat anybody. It doesn't even matter if it's infiltration.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So how now, like, we usually talk about how can we bump the characters up, but we're at B plus territory now.
Yeah.
So, like, should we talk about what these characters need more tools, or do we say how to bring them down? Like, where do we want to put these characters?
Well, obviously, everyone wants Mika to be less about that 50-50. Well, Mika players like the fact that she's a 50-50 game. That's what makes Mika fun. It's like she has this crazy mix-up game.
Yeah.
And, like, these interesting tools. And we don't want to make Mika less fun.
No.
Right?
No,
We want to keep her fun, but we also want to keep her fair and balanced.
Yeah, and people like to like bring the characters on the lower end of the spectrum up, and then just leave the characters at the top alone. Yeah.
So I don't want to mess with Mika too much, but it's also like she's so aggravating to fight against just because of that constant coin flip.
Yeah. One thing I would like to change in R.Mika is maybe buff up her V skill a little bit. I feel like we're not seeing it enough anymore.
Yeah,
and it's really hype and exciting when you see it too. And it's such a cool part, like the personality of the character aesthetically as well. And I feel like we only get to see it when the opponent is dizzied or something. And before we were seeing a lot of combos leading to it and stuff. And you know, I'm not saying let her get a full charge and instantly throw someone and kill him. That's not what I mean. But I would like to give it more use so we can see it more frequently in matches. That'd be really cool. So that's something I would change with her personally.
But I think she's in a fairly good place right now. You don't want to take away too much, but at the same time, trying to figure out how to tone down her set play game without making her less fun. That's the tricky part with Mika.
Yeah. So once again, guys, hardest character for us to place. If you guys don't agree with us, at least hopefully you can
understand where
we're coming from and understand what we mean. So
like
she's a very difficult character to place.
Like her placement, it kind of hovers between B plus and A minus, in my opinion. Just between those two tiers.
We were flipping her between those two things. Yeah. Moving on, man.
Yeah. So the next B plus character we have here is Ken.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is another character that required a good look at.
Yeah.
I think originally we had Ken as B tier, so we bumped him up just slightly.
But we got good footage of Ken. We got a good layout for him right now.
Yeah. So I'll let you take over for Ken.
You gonna let me take over for Ken?
Yeah.
Okay. Pros: high damage and stun output. Ken has got some very damaging combos and very easy combos too. He's got his 2 target combos lead to insane amount of damage. His was it Chin Buster or whatever it's called, and Lion Breaker. His back medium punch into hard punch, and then his standing medium kick into standing hard kick. Yeah, are 2 really good confirms into a ton of damage right into his one of them is into his hard kick Tatsu, and the other one is into his hard punch Shuriken. And the damage goes like to insane levels, especially when he activates his V trigger. If he does like a shimmy on you, run canceling from a hard punch or something, or any type of crush counter, it racks up, man. Like when Ken hits you, it hits hard. So definitely high damage and stun output.
He doesn't even need to spend that much meter. Like if he lands a crush counter stand heavy punch, and you can actually hit confirm that into the V skill, he can go like medium Tatsu into like EXDP, and it's like 40% damage. Like so he doesn't need to spend that many resources. Like a couple good hits and 1 bar, he's like 40% damage.
Yeah.
So roughly around there. It's really good.
It's like the tools for comeback are always there for Ken.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need the V trigger to make a comeback, but it's the threat is always there.
Yeah.
So he has decent mid-range pokes. Standing hard kick, you gotta live and die by this normal. This is like the normal for Ken that you will see all the time.
It's a good normal. It is -4 on blocks, so there are some characters you can just flat out punish Ken. Like Ryu, we saw with Daigo's stream, he can consistently punch with stand short or stand light kick into light Tatsu. And it doesn't matter like how far Ken spaces this out, because the stand light kick from Ryu hits so far, it's a consistent punish. So it takes away a tool from Ken. So even though it's a really good poke, it has its weaknesses.
Crouching medium punch. Crouching medium punch is a pretty good normal for Ken, especially when you complement it with his forward dash, since Ken actually has one of the best forward dashes in the game.
Oh yeah.
So when you have like a normal like crouching medium punch, good speed, you can confirm off of it. It's a good poke for sure. Standing medium punch has even longer range than crouching medium punch, and it's the same idea where when you combine it with his mobility, with his dash, forward dash, it's a pretty decent poke.
And on counter hit, he can hit confirm that into critical art.
Yeah, which does a lot of damage. Yeah, so yeah, some decent mid range pokes. Good throw bait game. Probably one of the best throw bait games, man. It's really annoying to deal with Ken because of his standing hard punch crush counter and. Like I said, you guess wrong, you get crush counter, the run cancel, the damage is so damn high. It's really scary, and then you got like overheads to deal with on top of that. I feel like when you get thrown in the corner with Ken, it feels like you're gonna get thrown 3 more times at least every single time, man. It's crazy, dude. It's like the perfect speed of getting hit and then getting knocked down. I don't know. It's just. It's really good.
It's really satisfying too, the way that forward throw is like
yeah.
It's just like, and then the quick rise, it's like in the corner, it's like the perfect timing, right? Just to do it again.
Yeah, like he's got one of the best like shimmies, and it really makes his throws that much more threatening because of it. Yeah, a lot of the stuff so far we're talking about is complemented by like his mobility. Yeah. Strong crush counter normals that are easy to confirm off of leads into high damage. So his standing hard kick, if it crush counters, you can literally confirm that into V-skill run into uppercut.
Yeah.
Or medium tatsu uppercut, EX uppercut. Because, yeah, you hear the flash, you hear the sound, and then you could literally press V-skill and Ken will start running and you'll have more than enough time.
There are even option selects with his V-skill where if you do it late enough, right, that V-skill only comes out on the crush counter hit, right? So very, very easy to hit confirm off of his crush counter normals into that V skill, which is and that leads into huge damage. And that's a really good pro for Ken.
Yeah, like I said, you live and die by that normal. And standing hard kick it's his go-to normal for sure. And then his hard punch. The thing is his V skill, right? It gives him a run and allows you to get in for max damage, right? So once again, this is being complemented by his mobility.
The V skill is pretty good too, but you can't do it off of like canceled from normals. Right? Just like consistently throughout the game, any character that cancels a normal into like a command dash, they're negative on block, and you can actually like
they have to be
punish, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be free.
Yeah.
So the V skill when done at like that footsie range where you're not canceling out, you're just doing it raw, is really good for Ken because it kind of psychs them out because all of a sudden he's just running and then he throws you, or he's running and he does that step kick thing, right?
Yeah. Okay, where are we right now? Good anti-air options?
Yeah.
Good anti-air options, medium punch DP, standing medium kick, crouching hard punch. So, yeah, Ken is no slouch in the anti-air department. They all lead into some type of mix-up with his V-skill cancel. Once again, being complemented by his mobility. So, Ken could do something like crouching hard punch, and then you're reset in the air, and then you can V-skill and run to the other side. And then you don't know if he's going to throw you. You don't know if he's going to neutral jump.
Yeah.
Right? It's really scary if you jump in on Ken. And then, of course, he has an invincible DP on top of that. He doesn't even have to go for a mix-up. He could just flat out beat you without any worry whatsoever. And then the range on his DP is very horizontal. It's good.
It's good.
It's really good. Standing medium kick is good too for that other angle. Once again, it does the same thing as crouching hard punch. It's just it's got a wider angle than crouching hard punch. Same thing. You can run under them and then do a mix up from there. So his anti-air department is very, very good. Very good. Jumping EX Tatsu is a strong tool to close the gap and punish fireballs. So another mobility option. It allows him to get in when he needs to. Kind of think of it kind of like a cannon strike from Cammy. It's not crazy fast, but if you land it, you can confirm it right into an uppercut, and it does a lot of damage. And if they block it, then you're fine, right? So really good tool for helping get in.
It's like -1, right?
Is it -1?
-1, -2.
I have to check. I
think it's all depending.
Jumping attacks are always very
Yeah.
funky when it comes to on guard. Like I'm
Yeah.
checking the guide, and it just says unknown because it depends when you
Well,
you hit them,
how deep you hit them.
yeah, how low to to the ground you hit them. So
Like usually, like when they block that, people are worried about that throw or that button, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it creates this like mind game. Even though he block it, it doesn't matter for Ken's. He's in.
yeah. Strong corner game. So yeah, Ken, like I said, with his throw mix-up and the fact that he can convert like EX projectile into a lot more hits. And then you mix up with the V trigger, and then when his the V trigger projectile causes a knockdown, it can be juggled. Massive amount of damage. A lot of juggles that can lead into uppercut, into EX uppercut.
Yep.
Just like I said, it's scary damage output, especially in the corner. That's where Ken really shines.
This is where you kind of want to use his EX Fireball, because his EX Fireball is like +1. I believe it's +1 on block. Back one more page. So he should be +1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is +1. But because you're in the corner, you're like right next to him. It's perfect. It's like the perfect frame trap tool
Yeah.
for them. And if they're scared of the frame trap, boom, you throw them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm back in the situation again.
Yeah, and then like it's another thing too. EX Fireball is really good for covering Chin Buster. Like you go for that target combo, and you try to if you commit all the way, you can cancel it into the EX Fireball and then keep you plus. So yeah, his corner game is very strong. High damage and stun output. Did you already say this?
I think I said that already.
Yeah,
I did.
We've made this very clear that he has high damage and stun output. That's funny. Good comeback factor with meter and V trigger. Yeah, his V trigger really amps up his damage. It allows him to juggle a Shoryuken into another Shoryuken, or Shoryuken to EX Shoryuken. It's just you feel like you're in the air forever, and you're permanently on fire, and it's just man. And like I said, it makes the projectile a lot better because it causes the knockdown,
yeah.
and that really helps Ken out a lot, since he doesn't have to spend resources. And even so, the EX Fireball, you get this really fast knockdown that could be juggled into. That's something that like Ryu can't do, right? Unless he goes into the corner with like a EX uppercut or something. But with Ken, it just
like every special move of Ken, they get augmented and buffed with the V trigger, and it just really complements his game overall. Like and it lasts a long time too.
Yeah, like his Hurricane Kick can neutralize projectiles. His EX Hurricane Kick in the air does 2 hits, and then it keeps him grounded for a full ground combo. And even his hard kick Tatsu can go over projectiles and put them into a juggled state.
Yeah.
His V trigger is good, and as it should be, because it is a 3-gauge V trigger. Yeah. V skill and thunder kick feints are good for opening the opponent up. So yeah, man. His V skill, like I said, with other command dash type moves, it is minus, but it is another tool. The opponent's not always going to be looking for it. It's something you use sparingly, right, after you condition your opponent. And because of this, it really helps you to find another layer for the opponent to worry about, to open him up, to get him to press buttons. And the thunder kick is super annoying. I swear that thing is so fast. It's so damn fast. And isn't that thing plus on block too, man? Like it's
Is it really?
I don't know. It's stupid, man. I don't know. It's -4 on block. Okay, when I play online, it seems like that thing is plus. I swear.
So the thunder kick is that step forward into the overhead kick that he has, but he also has like forward medium kick, which is another overhead. But if you do this, if you hold the step kick or the thunder kick, he stops, right? And you've seen this since like older SF games. Like you feint the thunder kick and then you go low instead. And so he has like a very basic level high-low game. And that's like another tool for Ken to open people up. And that's good. That's a good tool to have.
Like you do the old school like feint into the low kick and just
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for his cons.
Okay.
Sorry, pros.
Yeah.
Now we move into his cons.
Okay, so cons. A lot of his good combos, starting normals, are negative on block. So standing medium kick, standing hard punch, standing hard kick. Like as good as these normals are, they are negative. So it's really tough. Like honestly, Ken has like really bad frame traps, man, compared to a lot of the cast. Like he's got very like the plus on his normals aren't good compared to other characters, and even though a lot of them are long range, it's just they have to be used differently. It's hard to use for pressure. You just don't get too much off of it, and because of that, it's really hard for him to get it going.
Yeah, like it effectively ends his pressure, unless he leaves on -2. Otherwise, you have to play that kind of gimmicky risk reward game that Rashid players do, like -2 whatever DP.
Yeah.
To try to check their buttons afterwards, but it's very risky to do something like that. So like these are like the attacks that are his party starter combos. Right? These are the ones that lead into his higher damage combos. But, yeah.
A lot of his mid-range pokes are slow on startup.
So like those same normals we were mentioning, stand medium kick, stand heavy punch, stand heavy kick. They're really slow on startup, and you can kind of stuff them out of it.
Yeah, neutral game becomes predictable and gets countered. The thing is that you know how I said Ken lives and dies by that staging hard kick? Well, everybody else knows that too. That's the problem. Are you ready? What are you putting in notes
like
here?
These are like because it's predictable.
Yeah.
There are specific counters for it. Like Ryu and Gief, they use their V skill and then they punish them afterwards. Like Gief V skill, stand heavy kick, SPD.
Yeah.
Birdie's got that forward fierce. It's got armor. And then he's done. He gets like crush countered maybe in that scenario. Then you got fireball characters, switchy base characters. They just can outpoke Ken in those situations. So it's like it's really hard for Ken to play that neutral game with those normals. Like, and those are like his best normals. Like stand light kick's a good normal too. And that's probably like what he will have to kind of resort to when he can't use those tools.
V-skill cancels are highly negative on block, and you can't create pressure with them. So once again, you can't use V-skill as just a way to get in for free. It's another tool that he has to use, and I feel like some Ken players are using it way too much and relying on it, and some characters just think it's absolutely worthless and not using it at all. And I feel like as a Ken player, you gotta find that balance and use it as just an extra tool and condition your opponent. But as such, you can't. Like I said, it has a big weakness. And you have to know that, right?
Like some of the normal cancels into V skill on block, they're like double digits. Like stand jab into V skill, it's -12.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Like you can't let people get away with that. And once people like see that, it's like you can't do it. You just can't. You can't use those that tool, that V skill in that way.
Fireballs are unsafe on hit and block in various situations. So yeah, this is a lot different from like Street Fighter 4, where like you can just zone like really crazy and just constantly cancel your normals into fireballs. But the fireball is like, well, up close it's -10 on block, so you can get punished for it pretty bad. Once again, it's another tool for Ken to deal with zoners, but he can't just use it to get like this free constant pressure.
Yeah. Like his fireball in general is not the greatest in this game. It's I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's kind of bad. It's kind of. It's like you can still use it for zoning, but you barely see Ken throw fireballs.
It's always been weaker than Ryu's, right? It's part of the design.
Because of all of this, he ends up struggling in the neutral game, and that's a big problem for him. Like he has problems in the neutral game. But like once again, he gets in, he does a lot of damage, and he gets you in the corner. It's like you're done.
The thing is like, why would we put Ken? Or wait, is
Ken?
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm like, Ken and like Mika, like they both have problems in that neutral game, but Ken also has. But like Mika has like crazy mix-up after she lands a hit, but it's like Ken is more fundamentally sound because of the invincible reversal. And things like that.
Like he's got better neutral tools than Mika.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have as strong. He doesn't have that mix-up game with Mika.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say he's better than Mika. He has his own strength and weaknesses that set him aside from Mika. But it's not like he's better or worse than Mika.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's aspects where he's better than Mika and other aspects where he's worse than Mika.
Yeah.
But he's still a strong character. Just has problems. Like he struggles in the neutral game, but not as bad as Mika does.
Yeah.
Like he struggles against characters that have a stronger neutral game in general.
Yeah. And his neutral game is predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. ways to improve Ken. Right off the hop, I'm gonna say they really need to give Ken decent frame traps.
Yeah.
I feel like if they want to make him an aggressive close quarters fighter, you gotta give him more plus on his normals, man. Give him something to work with. And I feel like he relies way too heavily on doing the random chin buster and trying to confirm off that.
Yeah.
But you can't. There's nothing to stop the opponent from down backing you. You know.
Yeah. Well, he does have the overhead. He does have that stuff. So he does have that high-low game to work off of. But like, they can play defensively against Ken in the mid-range game, and he kind of like struggles there. It's like can't really get in, can't really open them up from this range. Have to rely on other tools. But like once he gets in, it's like okay, I'm gonna try for this shimmy, and then it's like it didn't work. Back to neutral.
Yeah.
And then it's like, ugh.
Most people would say to improve his V skill because we've gotten a version of Ken where he can just V skill anything and then the madness starts. But that's the problem when you give a character like this, a safe V skill for cancel from normals. It just everything goes crazy. So I think it's more focusing on improving Ken's neutral and what tools he needs to work with when he does get in and when the opponent is blocking him. Give him more frame traps. I think that'd be really easy to help Ken.
Yeah.
Improve for sure. Anything else you want to add with Ken?
Maybe buff his fireball a little bit.
Buff his fireball a little bit.
Not like crazy levels, but I don't know. That's the tough one. You shouldn't you gotta of all the buffs we've talked about.
Yeah.
It's not like give him all three, right?
Yeah.
It's like pick and choose between these ones.
Okay.
Right? If you buff his fireball, then you can't necessarily buff his mid-range game. Right?
Yeah.
The buff to the fireball is a buff to his mid-range range as a result. If you buff his up close game, don't buff his fireball, right? Because he shouldn't be able to zone and rush you down at the same time, right? He has to not at the same time, but like you can't zone you effectively, but then also be really effective up close, right? It's one or the other.
I think with Ken is really different in Street Fighter V. They truly made him like his own character now, and with the angle that Capcom's going with his EX Tatsu basically being a dive kick and his V skill run, even his V trigger makes him dash forward.
Yeah.
All these forward momentum things, I really feel like improving his like frame trap game would be the most beneficial and appealing to Ken players because they want to get in and they want tools and options to work with.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that pretty much wraps up Ken here.
Are we still on B+?
B+, yeah. This is the last B+
Okay.
character we have. And this one is kind of an interesting one too.
I was kind of on the fence with this one, but yeah.
A lot of other players think this character is actually higher tier, like A.
Really?
And that character is Cammy. The Japanese, especially Momochi and stuff like that, they really feel Cammy is a top 5 character.
Really?
Yeah. Let me check.
Well, she almost is on our list, right?
She almost is. Let's
want me to scroll down here?
No. Take a look at. Go back up.
Okay.
Click on the Shady K one. So Shady K, Li Joe, and Kim1234. They also feel Cammy is a top 5 character.
Okay.
So this is like an interesting thing because we don't have her quite that high, but a lot of other players do think she is a strong character, and she does have some strength, but she suffers from similar issues as the other characters we're talking about.
But we have her up there, like B+.
B+ is pretty good, and there could be room for improvement as well. Like she could jump up, in our opinions, but right now I feel she's not quite top 5 material.
So move back to Cammy?
Yeah, let's go to her pros.
Okay.
Her walk speed.
It's insane.
Greatest asset to Cammy is her walk speed, and she's got the normals to good normals to accompany that walk speed. So her footsie game is strong as a result. Good walking forward speed, great walking back speed, good normals to play that footsie game with, like good whiff punish tools, like stand medium punch, amazing whiff punish tool, and you can just kind of buffer spiral arrow into it.
Yep.
Get that knockdown, get that
momentum going.
Yep. Stand medium kick, amazing poke. Like that thing goes so far. It's a really good poke. Crouch medium kick's also really good. Even her crouch fierce, like that crouch fierce is pretty good range on that too.
Yeah, it is.
She like kind of goes back to. They're all solid pokes, so she can play like a really strong poking harassing game. But then because of her walk speed, she doesn't need to constantly harass you. She can harass you, bait you into pushing a normal, walk back out of that range, and then whip punish you with that stand medium punch into spiral arrow. Right, like everything just kind of works well together. She has a really good up close game as well. Like a lot of her normals, a lot of her tools are just plus frames on block. Like V skills +2, stand medium punch is +2, crouch medium punch is like +1,
Standing light punch is +2.
like standing light kick is also plus on block. Like I think it's +1 or something like that.
Really?
I can't remember. Can't remember that one off the top of my head. But all of these tools, like she's
+1.
Yeah, +1. So she's always plus on block on all these up close normals. So she's constantly like pressuring you, and because like some of these are her medium buttons, they're doing white chip damage, right?
Yeah.
So she's constantly pressuring you, and then with the good walk speed, she can definitely get the throw.
You're always scared of the throw on Cammy.
But then, because of the good walk speed, she also has that good throw bait game, that good shimmy, right? And
One of the best shimmy games in the game because of her move speed and normals.
Yeah. And that forward heavy kick, right? Like, it's like one of the best normals to shimmy with because you get really good damage off of it. The only problem is like that forward throw, you kind of reset to neutral.
Yeah.
When you're not in the corner. She has solid anti-air options. Like all of her DPs, they're all good anti-air options.
But she's got one of the harder DPs to use, actually, because they all three
travel,
have a different angle.
Yeah.
And they all three do the same amount of damage, too. So you really have to know your ranges with her DP. It's not as clear-cut as,
But they are invincible, and that's really important. Even then, her back medium punch, great anti-air, too, and it's great for cross-ups. It stops cross-ups, it stops neutral jumps, it stops that one critical angle that people like to abuse.
Like if Birdie jumps over you, you have enough time to literally just back medium punch,
and puts a stop to that. And then they recover in front of you, and then right where you want them, right next to you, and then you're going to be pressuring from there. Stand heavy kick can be used as an anti-air, but it's very situational, but it's just another option for her.
It is a crush counter. And you can go into super, and her uppercut goes into her super as well.
Yeah,
like,
you can just cancel right into it. So it's good. She gets good damage off of those. Even EX DP, right? Like good damage off of that too. So she's one of those characters where you don't want to jump in against her. Her delayed dive kicks throw off anti-air timing. And it's just good for getting in there. The EX dive kick, it's so fast and it travels full screen. Like it's just almost a free get-in tool. Obviously, it costs meter, so it's not completely free, but it's a good tool for her to just get in.
If she wants to.
Yeah. Even the hooligan into the dive kick is also really good, too. It allows her to get in from there. But her regular dive kicks, if you don't delay them, they're actually really bad because they're not active all the way down. They're active for, like, quarter at her peak jump or whatever like that, and then they're just no more active frames, so you can actually get punished there. So you actually do have to delay it if you want it. And then even if they block it, you're not plus heavy frames afterwards. Like I don't even think you're plus frames. You might be minus in some cases.
Really?
She has a lot of anti-fireball tactics. V skill goes through fireball. Spiral arrow goes through fireball. V triggered spiral arrow goes through fireballs. Critical art goes through fireballs. Like she's just got so many anti-zoning tools. Even the EX cannon strike, right? It's not necessarily an anti-fireball tactic, but can be used as one because it goes so fast. She's in the air and you throw a fireball, she go EX cannon strike from there, tag you out of it, and then she juggles from there. So she has so many anti-fireball strats. It's really difficult to consistently zone her out. Multiple tools to get into that mid-range and close-range game that's where Cammy shines, right? Like she's got, like I said, the dive kicks, the hooligan, the V skill, all that stuff gets her into those ranges that she wants to be at. Her V trigger, it's a pretty good comeback factor. It's not like amazing, but it's pretty good for that. Anything like she can just normal cancel into her spiral arrow and then critical art afterwards, and then you still have like half a V gauge to do that mix up.
Yeah, I really like the idea of Cammy not using both stocks right away, and then saving it and then going to a confirm later. Also with her like really fast normals and walk speed, it's really crazy to confirm that into V trigger too. It complements her very well. And before in the old betas, like she used to be able to do
Three of them.
and that was crazy because you don't even have to make that decision. You can go for the spiral arrow into the spike, doing the same amount of damage, and you get one extra mix-up from there. So I could totally see why Capcom changed that.
She had one of the craziest comeback potential in the early beta phases.
You were so frustrated.
I was really frustrated
Yeah.
with that because you'd play such a solid neutral game against Cammy, and then she activates, she gets that one confirm into the V trigger, and then she lands that huge damage because it used to do more damage, I think. Like
well, everything did, right?
It was like 40% damage or something like that, and then she still has that V trigger, and it ticks down kind of slow. She still got one more mix up in her, and then she's like pressuring, and then if she lands that dive kick or whatever like that, and then that's it. You're dead. You're stunned or you're dead.
And it's 2 bars of V gauge. It's not even 3 bars. She's gonna get it. She can get it twice sometimes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So those are like her major strengths.
Yeah.
But moving into her cons,
okay,
she's got below average health, 900 health.
This is extremely low.
That's the lowest on the spectrum for SF5.
Yeah.
So she can't take damage at all.
No.
Like she dies very easily.
Yeah.
Very linear gameplay. Just makes it really difficult for her to open people up.
It's very straightforward. She's one of the easiest characters to use in the game.
Yeah, so you really have to utilize her plus frame normals, her walk speed, and a series of good reads to like open people up. The dive kicks aren't like they're get-in tools, but you still have to put in that extra effort to get to open them up afterwards, which kind of is one of her problems. She has a tendency to like overcommit on her offense, just to like force people to take damage. And without an overhead, she just doesn't have this major threat.
She's got down back syndrome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her throw, as I said, her forward throw, it just resets to neutral when you land it. So, yeah, she has a good throw game, but you get that one throw, you're back to neutral again. It's like, so you don't want to use it, but you can't really, you have to use it occasionally to put the fear of the throw bait afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need it to make the throw bait a viable option. If you use the throw bait and you haven't demonstrated that they're going to throw them, they're never going to try to throw tech. So the throw bait game just doesn't come into play. So you have to use the throw. But then once you use the throw, you're back to neutral game, unless you're in the corner. So that's a pretty big weakness of hers. She doesn't really have like an outstanding tool set to really set her apart from the character, and that's why her gameplay ends up being linear. Like she's very easy to use, but very easy to read against, right? And there's other characters that have a similar gameplay as game plan as Cammy, but they do it better. So she ends up struggling against characters of a very strong defensive tool set, Nash, for example, or Birdie, stuff like that. If anyone that can keep her out, she just has so much problems against, and she doesn't have the tools to like to work around that, right? So she has to make these really good reads.
She has to do a lot of throws to condition them, you know, and then and every time you throw them, you're put in a situation where you have to work to get back in again, to condition them again. And everyone knows Cammy's always going for frame traps because she wants that damage so badly, and it causes you to overcommit. You know, it does cause problems. So, like, where do you think, Killy, where is the difference between our thought process on Cammy being B+ and other people's making her so high?
I think they really value her damage output, her footsie game, her like neutral game is really strong. Just I don't know, it's just I feel like after watching Final Round and NCR, the top Cammy players that we know of, Kazunoko, Punko, stuff like that, K-Brad, right? All three of them failed to make top 16 at both tournaments, I believe. And that's a big issue because it's like, she's a top 5 character, but she can't crack top 16 with some of the strongest Cammy users in there. And it's just like, it's tough because she just can't open people up or has a difficulty.
She has down back syndrome for sure.
She has difficulty opening people up.
Like when we compare it, let's compare it to Ken for a second because we got her and Ken in the same tier list right now, right? And you know, Ken, he has overheads. He has like a good throw game, right?
Yeah.
He has these these things that both these characters want each other's tools.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Ken wants those plus frame normals, and Cammy wants that good throw and the overheads. And then that's why we kind of feel like these two characters are in the same spectrum here,
The thing that I forgot to mention is that her V skill, when you do it at certain ranges, it does cross over. So she has like one mix-up tool there, but it's pretty easy to see, pretty easy to punish, or even just block it, right?
Yeah.
But at least when they block it, she's +2 on block.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Pretty crazy. But that's like the only other.
But she's not far enough that you're afraid of the throw threat.
No, sort of. If she starts walking forward and then she does V skill,
yeah,
that's that little bit of that throwback game. But if you were pushing them to the corner, you do that. You just put them out of the corner.
Yeah, and one poorly placed cannon strike, and then
then you're punished.
You're punished, right? You're always minus. It seems with that thing. The height restriction is so high.
It's really high
for that special, So.
But they definitely made it higher because. We all know what happened in Super SF4 when they made it low. She just TK'd you to death.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, plus frames forever.
Mm-hmm. And in her V trigger, as really good as it is, it's a very short burst V trigger. It's like you use it and then all of a sudden it's gone in a second. It seems, right? And if you didn't make it count during that, then you're relying.
It's really hard to make a comeback afterwards, right? Because then you're back to that neutral game, and it's like I struggled to get in to open you up, and then when I had that V trigger, I couldn't open you up. How am I going to open you up again? Right?
I feel like once you get to characters that are higher than B+, it seems like the character has extra tools to help carry you to help win matches. But I feel like Cammy is a really honest character to win with, and that keeps her at B+. I feel like she doesn't have the extra tools that help be a little cheap. Little, something unfair that the characters higher than her have that are above the B+ tier. So I hope you guys understand our reasoning for keeping Cammy at bay at the B+.
Like she does have that one unblockable setup they discovered, where it's like some sort of anti-air hit, and then they cancel into hooligan, and then or is it EX hooligan?
I haven't seen it, man.
You'd use it.
What?
Yeah, because they.
Oh yeah. So you do EX. Cannon strike where you dive kick down.
Oh yeah, that one.
And then you reset it with a hard punch, and then you go right into hooligan. And because of the opponent put into a standing state for a frame when he's resetted, it becomes an unblockable setup because you go for the hooligan throw. It is a different timing against different characters.
Yeah.
You can't just simply mash it against everybody, but it's still something that you have to land the hit, and then it's not like you're getting a mix-up afterwards. You just you're back to neutral.
You're back to neutral once.
It's just free damage, I guess, but there are ways out of it. But it's a cool little tool that people have.
Like she has these couple interesting tools, but it's just not quite enough. Right? Like that's kind of her big problem.
So where do you think they should work on with Cammy? Like, what do you think the Capcom should change with Cammy?
Maybe the height restriction on.
I was thinking that too. The height restriction is
it's so punishing. Because the max height restriction, then the dive kick, because it's not active all the way down. So it's like you do it at the max height restriction, and you have this gap that you can't do anything about. So you have to delay it, which is good about throwing off anti-airs, but also makes it a little bit easier to anti-air as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like either something about that dive kick I would probably try to kind of modify.
I just make the hitbox more active from all the way to the ground. It just like I said, if you do it too high, you just it doesn't hit the opponent if he's crouching. It just whiffs.
Yeah.
Make it active all the way down. So at least if you know the right angle, you're rewarded with aiming it correctly. Because you can be aiming it perfectly at their toes, and then all of a sudden the hitbox is gone and it whiffs.
Yeah.
The height restriction is way too high. You gotta make it lower. Or make it active all the way down. Yeah. One of the two. And she can only do it from a forward jump. Right?
Yeah.
Like most dive kick things in this game. That's like universal change they did. Capcom's just so scared about dive kicks. They're so traumatized from Yang and Yang. I don't know, man.
Well, look at how many dive kick characters were top tier.
Yeah.
In SF4, right? Or even past SF3 Yun.
Because it's just like probably the most powerful neutral tool you can have.
Because it circumvents the need for footsies, right? Because the dive kick just beats footsie game, right? Like, if we go back to like Capcom Capcom Cup finals between Daigo and Kazunoko, the threat of the dive kick forced Daigo to do really unorthodox things. He couldn't play that fundamental footsie game because Yun ignores it.
Yeah.
And that's always the fear when you have dive kick characters, is because they're like, oh, we're gonna nerf every other neutral aspect of this character,
Yep.
but then this dive kick compensates. But then the dive kick overcompensates and it ends up being better than it should be.
But I feel like it defines her character. Like, that's what she's about, you know? Like,
Not just about the dive kick. She's always been a footsie based character.
Yeah.
Like if we go back to CVS 2, man, that dive kick was that it didn't matter.
yeah, that is a good point. you know?
She had really. If we go back to CVS
that
2,
crazy
like,
standing hard
maybe
kick.
maybe stronger neutral like CVS 2 style.
Another
normals,
thing I
right?
think they should do, if they want her, if she's getting down backed, okay, I can accept that. And if you want to play a strong neutral game with Cammy, give her down hard punch back her crush counter, man.
Oh yeah,
Because she had that. And the first thing so Cammy's crouching hard punch back in the day, a year ago, her crouching hard punch calls a crush counter, which was nice because it's like her longest range normal, right? And then Capcom's like, oh, this is too powerful, so they nerfed it and they made the crush counter cause a knock up.
Yeah.
So then it bounced them up in the air. Like, okay, I can't combo too much off of it, but it's still a crush counter. And then now they just completely took the crush counter away, and that pisses me off. I feel like she needs that, man.
Yeah.
Not just have her standing hard kick is just
it's not that good as a crush
it's
counter.
a terrible crush counter,
not
man.
that
It's
good.
terrible. And yeah, I feel like she needs that extra threat, that long range normal. Give her the option to do that. If they're gonna down back her, fine. But give her
a bigger reward in the neutral.
Yeah,
game.
man.
Yeah, that's a fair.
I think that'd be a
compromise.
good change.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, I know some people are not gonna like this, but I want this option, but it might make her too powerful. But I want her to have the ability to do EX moves while V trigger is activated. Because I like the idea of just dishing out the damage and still keeping your V trigger stock when you want to.
That's really strong.
It might make her crazy,
that's a little
but
too strong.
I love the idea so much of Cammy having one more mix-up after the initial setup so much that I wish that they could just... Because it looks kind of sloppy, you do spiral arrow or you just do cannon spike and then it ends, it looks kind of ugly, and then you go for the reset after. But to do it and then EX and then you have one mix up in there, but then again if you get one more mix up then you get another EX.
And then they're dead. They're stunned.
That's why maybe it's a little too crazy.
I don't know. That one's a little too crazy. For
But
my
it would be
liking.
so cool. It'd be so cool. But I think
You'd have to tone down other aspects of Cammy to really justify a V trigger character.
Yeah, I guess. Oh man. But yeah, Cammy, I really feel like that crouching hard punch is the key.
Her jumping normals are also really bad. Actually,
She's got the worst jumping
She's got some
normals
of
in
the
the game.
worst jumping normals in the game. And I don't know whether they should.
The idea was like if she wants to come from the air, then you use the cannon strike, so she doesn't need jumping normals. But yeah, damn, her jumping normals are awful.
They're awful. Granted, like she has some of the strongest. She's got a really strong ground game, but
For how fast her normals are, yeah, but
yeah, her jumping normals are terrible.
yeah. So hopefully you guys, once again, if you don't agree with us on Cammy, at least understand where we're coming from, because I know a lot of people disagree with where we put Cammy right now, but yeah, she's a very honest character overall, I would say.
Just yeah, even though like some of those other pro players put her top 5, the results don't quite speak for themselves right now. Maybe down the road because it's still early life.
Yeah.
We'll see like that breakout Cammy player that changes our minds.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like
We gotta have strong Cammy players, man. That's what I feel. We already do.
Kazunoko and Punko, they play a little bit crazy with that character too.
Okay.
So they end up taking like a lot of risk with the character too. And I feel if you have to take a lot of risk with the character, then there are some deficiencies with that character, and I can't, in good faith, put them in top 5
Okay.
if they have those type of risks.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Are we moving on?
Yep. So that's it for our B+ characters. We're into the A-.
Okay, so now we've reached the A- category. So where would you say, like, what kind of characters would be an A-? Like, characters that have extra tools?
They have multiple ways to open someone up. They have strong neutral tools. That kind of put them up, and that's what kind of puts them above B+. But they're not quite as strong as the obviously A+ characters because they're lacking that extra bit of something to put them over the top.
Like, they have strong neutrals, but they still have, like, some core weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like. So, who's our first A- character?
This is an interesting one. Birdie.
Birdie.
And this is another character I kind of struggled with.
I always felt Birdie was strong.
But we just haven't seen a Birdie player really perform well, besides Crusher, obviously.
Yeah.
And for that reason, a lot of people don't feel Birdie deserves a slot. It deserves like to be lower on the tier listing. But I think Birdie is still a strong character, but we just don't have that one player as besides Crusher, which we haven't seen him in a tournament setting, really break out with this character.
There's a lot of great Birdie players, but we have to see like a great Birdie player perform really well in like a major and really use all of his tools and really show like Birdie's a very easy character to use, just like Cammy. But he does have like some issues that aren't being exploited yet. He does have some gimmicks to him, but his core set is just so good. Yeah. Like Birdie's, like I said, he's no matter what. Me and Killy knew that he's a good character. We just didn't know how good. You know where to put him there. Yeah. So we felt like A- is a good spot to put him right now, and then hopefully we can see more results from him. He's one of those characters that we kind of have enough information on him, but we want to see some results with him. You know. Yeah. So who's doing Birdie? You or me?
You're gonna do Birdie.
Okay. So pros, Birdie has above average health, 1050. So he has a 1000 stun then?
Yes.
Okay. So he's not exactly like Zangief then, right?
No.
So he just has high health, 1050 health, which is good, which is a character like him needs. Strong neutral tools, probably some of the best neutral tools in the game. Like if this character was fast, it would be crazy.
But he is fast in V-Trigger.
Not, yeah. Yeah, he is fast. But anyways, standing medium kick. It feels like you could just spam this move, hey?
It's a brick wall.
You could just keep pressing this button, and that's all you really need. Standing medium kick, standing medium punch, which you can buffer this constantly into bullhead for insane damage. Really good hitbox on this, really good range, and yeah, it's fast enough that if the opponent tries to jump in on you, you're still recovered enough to anti-air them, which is stupid. It's just stupid. Standing hard punch, a little on the slow side, but the horizontal range is catastrophic.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that Capcom at one point made this a crush counter. What were they thinking?
That was crazy.
Yeah, so they definitely took that out. But yeah, standing hard punch is really, really good. Strong space control tools, Haining Chain and V-Skill. So his Haining Chain, it can actually go through projectiles and just grab you. Like when you're in that mid-range game, a lot of people like to stand right outside of Birdie's standing medium kick and standing hard punch range. That's kind of like the people, they feel like they're in the safe zone. But then all of a sudden you got this Haining Chain that comes out of nowhere, especially the EX version, right?
So
it's got armor on it too, and it's just like it comes out of nowhere, and then it grabs you, and then you put in a tough spot. And the Haining Chain, if Birdie grabs you with it, I think the light kick version knocks you full screen away from him, and the medium kick version, if you land it, puts you right next to Birdie.
Oh, really?
So Birdie can decide where you want to go. Does he want to play keep away with you, or does he want you close? So that's really crazy. It's not quite a projectile, but it kind of is. Like it goes through fireballs, right?
And then the heavy version is the anti-air version.
Yeah, you don't see it too much because he already has a really good anti-air, but it's kind of annoying.
But it's good in conjunction with his V-Skill, right? Because you toss the pop can, they want to neutral jump the pop can, and then you go, you fish them out of the air.
Yeah. And you can start swinging the chain and decide whether to use it or not. There's a little mix-up to that, too. You can cancel it. But, his Haining Chain is really cool because aesthetically it fits the character, and then it's a good tool, too. So, really good design on that.
And then his V-Skill.
V-Skill, one of the most well-designed, unique V-Skills in the game, I feel. Especially since he's one of the earlier characters shown in Street Fighter V. So, his V-Skill has 3 different things he can do. One, he can just eat a donut, and that fills up his V-Trigger, very straightforward, or fills up his V-Gauge, sorry. And then his down V-Skill is the pop can.
Yes.
And
or is it the banana?
The banana's back V-Skill, I'm pretty sure. Correct me guys if I'm wrong, but I'm like 90% sure it's down V-Skill is the energy drink / pop can / whatever it is. And that causes the opponent to automatically have to cause an action, right? Like they have to down back it, or they have to jump or whatever, it hits low, so it trips them.
Yeah.
And it puts them in this dumb, like, kind of stunned state where Birdie can follow you up. Birdie will usually walk forward after he does this, and then you're so annoyed because you can't jump in on him at this point. And if you block, you're scared because you got a grappler hybrid character that's coming close to you, and you don't know when it's coming. And then Birdie can sometimes do this stupid jump grab.
Yeah.
In between, and sometimes he can thread the needle and grab you before the pop can hits and puts you in the block stun, but sometimes it won't. It'll just cause you to jump prematurely, and it's really wacky. Really good. It goes underneath projectiles too. The only thing bad about it, I guess, is that it's got a little slow startup, but on top of that, when it hits the opponent, it builds up your V gauge as well.
But even if he gets hit by the pop can, like say they neutral jump when he does the dive grab, and you get hit, like Birdie gets hit on the way down. If it's spaced right, the pop can's still going, and they land into the pop can, and then Birdie converts afterwards. And he's right next to them, so he gets like a good combo starter, like stand medium punch into bullhead or whatever. So it's a versatile tool. The only downside, it is really slow on startup.
Yeah. And then, so I was right. I checked the guide. Okay,
back.
so back V skill is the banana. And this is a really good spacing tool because it's basically like a shield around Birdie, right? It stops the opponent from wanting to go in for a little bit and gets Birdie into that really good spot where he can put you in range of his standing medium kick and whatever. And he doesn't have to really worry. I don't think a lot of people know that you can actually jump into the banana and down block it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. So Birdie does kind of get away with a little bit of that.
The little thing is, do you want to do that?
Yeah, do you want to do that? Like, what purpose does it do, right? Because you're going to be in front of Birdie at some point.
And so this is really good for him in the zoning matchup because he can throw the banana peel, and even if they throw projectiles, he can neutral jump. And it prevents characters who follow the projectiles to really stop Birdie at that point, because the banana peel is that shield. So if you throw the banana peel down, you stand slightly behind it. You can sort of like force different actions from zoners. They can't throw projectiles and just anti-air you because you can neutral jump at that point.
Yeah, like, and then if they get hit by it, then you get like the medium punch into bullhead, and even when you're knocked down your opponent, you can place it down over their body.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you use the medium kick chain, you can place it down really quickly. It's super annoying, and once again, it builds
V gauge.
V gauge, and I think you can cancel into his V skills too, man, which makes it pretty good as well. Strong anti-air with crouching medium punch, pretty much the best single button anti-air in the game, right?
One of the best for sure.
It's stupid. Like, for me, like Dulcimer's got a good one with the light punch, but Birdie it's a medium punch.
It's so good. And like Birdie's a character you want to jump in on, but also at the same time not want to jump in.
Yeah.
He's got this tool set where you're like, where the answer to some of his tool set is the jump.
Yeah.
But then you can't because this down medium punch is just amazing. Like, it even hits behind him. Right?
Yeah,
so,
it's a universal like anti-air tool. Like he doesn't have to worry about the range you're jumping in on, and it's so fast. It's so fast, and then the worst part is it puts you into a mix-up situation, and that sucks, right?
Like, and it's a really bad one because he goes stand heavy kick, right? His crush counter normal. So if you want to push buns on your landing, you get crush counter, but you don't want to push anything, you get command grab.
Yeah, and that sucks. So if that's another reason why you don't want to jump in on Birdie. So Birdie, he's got that good anti-air game. Forces opponents to play at Birdie's pace if they don't have a means to force Birdie to play against their tools. Yeah, you feel like Birdie feels like a wall.
Yeah.
All right, a wall you're trying to penetrate, and it's so hard because, like I said, he's got such a strong anti-air game. His normals reach so far away, and then on top of that, he's got zoning tools that force you to make an action.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to play far away and try not to play his game, then you got this stupid pop can rolling towards you. Or if you want to go in, all of a sudden you got to deal with this dumb banana peel that's sitting in front of him. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, he can just start spamming his neutral V skill and start gaining V gauge.
Yeah.
You know, he really dictates the pace. He really does, man.
He can against characters who can't deal with it.
Yeah. Right. Jumping medium punch is one of the stronger cross-ups in the game. Yeah, the animation for this jumping medium punch is so stupid. But he basically just turns his entire body sideways and it hits on both sides. It's like Chun-Li's neutral jumping hard kick, but you can use it jumping forward. Man.
Yeah.
It is stupid. And then when you block it, you're so scared of that command throw. You're just so scared of
Yeah.
it, man. It's just, yeah, really. If Birdie actually does want to come after you, that jumping medium punch could be kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
High damage output, of course. Like insane comeback factor. Getting hit by a straight, like I said, his medium punch into bullhead does so much damage. His EX versions of attacks do so much damage. And he's got a command throw, which obviously does a lot of damage as well. Yeah, Birdie has high damage on a lot of shit.
He also has like high bursty damage too once you put in his V trigger and his critical art into the equation. And it's just like you could be playing so solid and then you get one hit and he's like V trigger into whatever and it's like, where did all my life go?
Yeah. And then his V trigger activation forces a momentum change. So yeah, you remember the problems we were talking about these? Like imagine just taking away the cons and then now all of a sudden Birdie's like a killing machine.
Like they actually addressed all the issues when we were at E3 and we were like, okay, Birdie's V trigger has these problems. And then now they don't.
Yeah. It's kind of insane how much they buffed his V trigger.
Yes.
So his V trigger, what it used to do is it enhanced some of his two of his core special moves, the bullhead and the bull horn, and it gives like armor and does multiple hits and damage. And then that was pretty much it. It was just more damage.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they made it, when he activates the flame where he eats the chili pepper becomes a hitbox. All of a sudden they improved his movement speed, his jump speed, his dashing range. All of that is his mobility is increased when he activates V trigger. And then on top of that, his V skills now generate V gauge, even though it's already activated, which was unique. There's no other character that can. Well, I guess Alex can now. That's new. But let's just imagine Alex doesn't exist for a second. But it's insane how much they buffed his V trigger. It really is. And then the follow-ups into that too. The EX bullhead into V trigger cancel. He's one of the few characters that can V trigger cancel from special attacks, and then he can confirm that into a ton of damage. And then overall, since he has more movement speed, he has a stronger footsie game because now he can weave in and out of your attacks.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He can be a moving wall now rather than just a sitting. Standing or sitting
so
wall.
scary. Once Birdie activates, it's very scary. It's a very big momentum shift after he activates.
So I'd say like Birdie's pros are they're very straightforward pros. There's nothing complex about it. It's just like good, this, that, this. You know, like Birdie. He's like I said, he's one of the easier characters to use, and his strengths are very apparent right away.
Like his EX specials are so good, but they're all like read based. Right?
Yeah.
Like EX hanging chain, it is fast as armor, but it's like a read. On it, on like projectiles and stuff or pokes. The EX Bull Revenger, where he's diving. The thing's so fast, but again, it's like counters projectiles, right? Counters low pokes and stuff like that. It's a read-based special, but sometimes you can throw it out there because it is that fast and you can catch people sleeping with it. EX Bullhead or the charged one, both of those have armor on it. And so he can just go through pokes. He can walk forward, hold down this EX, and he's like, see you poke, okay, throw this out, armor right through it.
Yeah, really crazy. Okay, so cons. Oh, there's not too many cons here.
No.
Cons, slow walk speed. So, of course, being a character with this many good tools, he has to be slow when he's not in V-Trigger. Floaty jump. Yeah, his jump is pretty bad.
He doesn't travel far with his jump. It's like a short jump, but also it's high and kind of floaty. So it's not a very good jump.
Yeah, it doesn't travel very far at all. And then he's in the air for so long. He's begging to be anti-air.
Yeah, very easy to anti-air. Plus he's big, right? So he has this gigantic hitbox. Hurtbox anti-air.
So if the opponent's got like a life lead on Birdie, he's going to have like some struggles getting it back because of the mobility issues, right? Struggles against zoning, specifically slow fireballs with fast recovery,
like,
aka Nash.
Nash and Chun-Li. Well, not necessarily. Chun-Li can... it's a little bit tough on that one. But Nash for sure. Nash eats Birdie alive. Like, he has no answers to that. He just has to like really guess on the EX specials to really answer Nash's projectiles. But like, he can't even neutral jump. I have enough time to, I guess any character, they try to neutral jump the projectiles. I can forward dash and then stand around house and anti-air.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't deal with the projectiles and the zoning game that Nash dishes out. Like, he has tools for it, but they're not great tools, right? Like if he's off on the timing and stuff like that, he gets punished. And even then, like Nash can escape. So he just has this really struggles against people with really good footsies and really good projectiles. Like I feel Vega's another character that eats Birdie alive. Like he just can't contend with the speed. Even Karen, like Karen might be a okay matchup for Birdie, but there are certain characters like that they have really good footsie tools, really good walk speed, and just can outpoke him, outzone him. He struggles there.
Like, to deal with zoning, like, Birdie has the tools, but they're reads, right?
Yeah, they're very read-based.
Like when Ryu was throwing projectiles at you, like, from the kind of close to mid-range, like, Birdie has to commit to some type of decision if he wants to counter it. So he can still get zoned out, basically. And even if he gets pushed into the corner, it makes it even harder for him to deal with it. A lot of his attacks are punishable on block.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of his special moves. So yeah, his bullheads are all punishable. Some people had problems at the starting because he gets knocked back so far when you block it. But people are starting to figure out now the proper ways to punish it. This Bull Revenger, that
you
move
can crush counter.
Yeah, you can crush counter. You don't even have to jump if you don't want to. You can actually hit it with a ground normal. There's like a split frame where he lands on the ground and you can still stop it.
Yeah.
It's super good online, but offline
use your crush counter normal basically, and it's guaranteed at that point. You will hit Birdie just as he lands, and it crush counters into the max damage. So it's a little bit gimmicky, his Bull Revenger, but there are counters to it. But even if you neutral jump it, it's like full jump in combo, right?
Yeah. You got his bullhorn. That goes through projectiles, but the problem is he's got a lot of recovery when he lands, so that can get baited out. So, like I said, he has all these good tools, but a lot of them are punishable on block for sure. So, you got to make reads on these things. Where are we on right now?
Limited ways to activate V-trigger safely.
Yeah, limited ways to activate V-trigger safely. The thing is that Birdie's got a wind-up on his V-trigger, some startup to it, where he has to eat the chili pepper and then it blows out the fire. So he can't just activate it raw, like Nikali, for example. Yeah. He wants to get to that V-trigger soon. So a lot of Birdie players will have to do like a random EX bullhead, and then hopefully it hits, and then activate that way to make it safe.
But even on block, depending on the spacing and stuff like that, it is still punishable.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or there's certain situations where like they special cancel into the V trigger, and I've still been able to punish them for it.
Okay.
So, and then if he tries to do it raw, like from mid to far screen away, you can still punish him on it.
Yeah.
So, most people can just critical art. They see it, it's like, oh, critical art. Like Cammy, for example. So you can't just V trigger raw on this, and he can't really cancel his normals into the V trigger because he's punishable, right? Like, you got to go through that animation. So it's very hard for him to get that V trigger activation going.
Yeah. So Birdie, like I said, we had a little bit of trouble placing him on the tier list, but we feel like he's missing like a core part, and that's pretty much with his speed. The speed of his normals and the speed of his walk and his jump, all that stops him from getting up to the higher tier. If someone's got a really strong footsie game like Vega or Chun-Li, they can like weave in and out and just outspeed him, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. And then if you got a life lead on Birdie and he's like full screen away, it's hard for him to come after you because of his limited mobility options. You feel like a lot of Birdie players, when they need that extra damage, they'll do random Bull Revenger or EX Bull Revenger to try to get that damage back and try to desperately go in with like unsafe stuff, like a random EX Bullhead and things like that. And I feel like Birdie's up there. I just feel like it's just that core problem. Maybe if his V-trigger activation was like free, where you could just do it right away, it would help him a little bit.
But the buffs he gets in his V-trigger is just
it's so powerful.
So overwhelming.
Yeah, it's
you
really powerful.
Can't give him something like that.
Yeah, even if you don't use his V-skill to refill it, you pretty much can get it for the rest of the round almost. Once you activate, you're good to go for the rest of that round, for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if someday, Killy, we bump Birdie up when we see some better
like
results with him.
Breakout player.
Because like the potential is there with this character. He's really good. What do you think they should change with Birdie?
Yeah, that's a tough one. All these, because it's a fairly well balanced game as is, and you don't want to give Birdie too much again. Like he's just at that cusp.
Like we're at A- right now, right? So it's you know it's we're not really saying like buffs.
Buff him,
we're
yeah.
saying changes. You know, there might be something we want to take away or something we want to keep. But Birdie, he's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, and you can't really nerf the anti-air too much, but
Mhm.
it's like it's really strong, almost too strong. Anti-air, but it's like anti-airs need to be good though. Yeah, it's like okay, you'd have to look at it from the perspective of the people who have difficulties fighting birdies. Like Birdie brick walls them. So, do you keep that aspect or do you change something else? And that's kind of like the tough part. With
Like
Birdie.
he's got a strong overhead too. His forward hard kick.
Yeah, it is, especially when after an anti-air.
Yeah.
You can do that instead.
Yeah, man. Like use it as a meaty. It's just Like Birdie's just got such good tools. It's hard. I think they're pretty okay on Birdie right now. Really.
You might have to tone down his V trigger. I think his V trigger is really crazy. The amount of buffs he gets off of his V
It is a
trigger.
3-bar V trigger.
That's
though.
true. Yeah.
And it's not like it lasts forever. But yeah. I'm kind of stumped on this one, guys. For changes for Birdie. Honestly, I haven't really thought about this, but he seems like in an okay spot. Really. I
Yep.
just want to see more results from him.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm okay with not saying any changes right now. I think he's okay right now. More exploration. You want to move on?
Yeah.